Welcome to SkyBus Oval for Booper TSL Round 19 action. It's the Battle of the Bombers down here in the State South in Lauderdale. It's a soaked SkyBus Oval. We've had a lot of rain, Cam Brown, and we're tucked away in a van today. Different sort of setting for us, but the game couldn't have too much more riding on it in terms of a home and away fixture, could it?
No doubt about that, Damo. Yes, it's going to be really difficult conditions today. We've had a lot of rain in the last 24 to 48 hours in Hobart, so it'll be pretty boggy ground down here today. Lauderdale and North Launceston, you mentioned a lot at stake, and you'd think if Lauderdale can win today, that would sew up top spot for them and a home final. Conversely, if North Launceston can win, then they're right in the mix. So as we look at the ladder coming in, Damo, Lauderdale at the moment a game clear of North Launceston, but they have played a game in hand, and North Launceston also got a significantly better percentage. So it's pretty important for Lauderdale perspective that they win this game today if they have ambitions of finishing on top. And we know that's probably been a struggle for them in their existence in terms of, they've gone deep in the final series in the last couple of years, but they've come from a fair way back, haven't they, from 4th or 5th. So finishing top would certainly give them the best opportunity, you would think, of winning their first premiership in the TSL competition. Well,
you would have said pretty much all throughout the season that Lauderdale would be the top place team. They've been the pace setters, that's for sure, but a bit of a banana peel last week going down to Clarence, which opens the door for the Northern Bombers. And while the Northern Bombers probably haven't been at their best this season, they're still there and right in the reckoning.
Yeah, well, Lauderdale, that was a really surprise loss last week to Clarence, wasn't it, in the Eastern Shore Derby, and Clarence, obviously come off the bottom of the ladder with that win, so Lauderdale, they'll be still smarting from that loss. They'll regroup, but even Darren Winter in the media, I think, said, if you're just off your guard a little bit in the competition, now you'll get picked off, and that's exactly what happened to Lauderdale, and the margin probably flattered them a little bit. I think the Roos got up by 22 points, but Lauderdale kicked a few goals late, so they'll be looking for a quick start, I would have thought. Having said that, North Launceston last week, a really good win over Launceston, and they've got a mortgage on Launceston, haven't they, Gilly? How many wins is that in a row? 18 in a row, which is extraordinary. And Launceston were in pretty good form up until a couple of weeks ago. So they'll go in with a fair bit of confidence. And how could you deny North Launceston in terms of not giving them a strong case to once again go around and finish on top of the ladder and also win another premiership, because they've been the standout of the competition over the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, Brownie, we aren't far from action. We should have a look at the two teams, and there's been a couple of late changes you'll see on the graphic there. Late outs for Lauderdale. They've got all 4 emergencies coming in. They are Corey Lancis, Josh Williams, a debutant in Lincoln Arnold, and Ethan Wish-Wilson. They replace Ray Hill and Alex Hill, who both just played in the Development League, but the two big outs are Phil Bell-Chambers and Bryce Walsh. So I'm guessing Alex Heavey will skip of the side today with Josh McGuinness and Bryce Walsh out of the side. And Phil Bell-Chambers, who's been one of the heartbeats of this team over the last couple of years when they've been so successful, out of the team on a day which would pretty well suit him.
Oh, and Bryce Walsh as well. So they're big blows for Lauderdale coming into this game. 4 outs, and as we mentioned, in particular, Bell-Chambers and Walsh will be tailor-made for these conditions, you would have thought. So I guess what that does from a Lauderdale perspective, it puts a fair bit of emphasis on young Nicholas Baker, I would have thought, in the middle of the ground. Alex Heavey may roll through there, for argument's sake. So there'll be a fair bit of pressure also on Nat Franklin too. So they mightn't have the normal rotations through there. They'll probably have heavy minutes in the midfield as a consequence. But having said that, there's 4 opportunities now for some Lauderdale players, and there's competitions for spots, obviously, coming into the business end of the season. They've just got 1 game after this one, Gilly. I think it's against Glenorchy, and then they'll prepare for a finals campaign. So there's plenty to play for, not just from a team perspective, but individually for spots for this Lauderdale team.
Just before we get on to the North Launceston lineup, the Lauderdale, good timing with the Devils boys back in. Oscar Shaw and Matt McGuinness welcome reinforcements, particularly with Josh McGuinness going down with what looked like a pretty bad hamstring last week. They'll miss his leadership, but his brother Matt slots in.
Yeah, I saw Josh McGuinness yesterday, so he's hopeful of getting back for the first final. But Oscar Shaw, we know, hasn't played much club footy this year, but He was a permanent fixture when he wasn't involved in state representative footy last year for Lauderdale, so he'll solidify the back half. We know he's got those long arms and reach, and he'll defend really well today. He'll make it really hard for his opponent. So a really good inclusion. And Matt McGuinness, we know, has been in really good form. I would have thought in the top 2 or 3 players for the Devils this year in terms of where their best and fairest may finish. So he'll probably play down back. He's just read the ball really well this year, hasn't he, Gilly? And they've gone through him a fair bit, and he's been the playmaker from back there. He's able to just find pockets of space and intercept mark, and can use the ball pretty well by foot on most occasions. So it's a real good opportunity for him. And he's off to the draft screening day.
State screening,
in Victoria too, which is a great effort for him.
So Matt McGuinness into the side. The North Launceston Bombers also get a key Devil back in Ryan Mansell. That's the only change to the lineup. He comes into the team, and he'll love these conditions, Ryan Mansell.
He will, and he's a bull, isn't he? He's so hard at the foot. He's so competitive, a great tackler. When we've seen him at the TSL level this season, Gilly, he's played more as a forward, and we know he's got some nice forward craft. Can kick a goal across his body. He'll work really hard defensively to lock the ball in. So I would have expected him to start forward in this game today.
As you turn on the wipers, our makeshift commentary box today is doing a pretty good job so far as the teams prepare. We'll get onto live images in a moment. As we said before, we've seen considerable rain in the state south, so while conditions at Lauderdale at times can be wild, I think it's going to take it to a whole new level today, Cam, and it's going to be one at the contest, isn't it?
Oh, no doubt, and it's old-fashioned footy. We saw the AFL game last night, didn't we, Gilly? And it was unbelievable conditions, snowing, but it was just back to basics and sort of kids' footy, really. Get your hands on the footy, hack it forward and win the next contest. So a lot of this will be similar, I would have thought, coming into this game today.
Long sleeve, such a talking point. Many out there at the moment. Sam Siggins running a long sleeve. Clarkson wouldn't be happy with that. Saunders forward, so it doesn't look like there's many for the Northern Bombers, but interesting choice with the White Guernseys today. Someone's going to have an almighty job in terms of washing those. No
doubt about that, and as we see Smith in the ruck, this will be a really good battle, and telling to see who goes on to win this contest. Ruckman love to get their hands on the footy first, but it looks like North Launceston is going with a smaller ruckman.
They are indeed. So Aiden Smith been in terrific form. He's beaten to this one, brings it down. It's Ponting now. Gets his ball. It is Ali. Throws it on the boot. It comes forward for North Launceston, and it's a buttery ball, and he couldn't gather it, Robbie McManus.
Caught me off guard there, Alex. Lee was
he's got
out
one
of screen.
Sock down, so I reckon, as well.
Definitely playing in the ruck. I thought they might have gone smaller there for a second.
Just the surprise attack there from Big Ali. So the ball to be brought in from Bev Show. Jacob Bev has got the big job. Throws it on in. Sniffing around this one was Dakota Bannister. He will get a free kick, Cam Brown.
Yeah, both umpires called it. The non-officiating umpire was going to pay it, so it looked like it's too high.
So Dakota Bannister will line up, what do we reckon, about 35?
He's been a goal kicker for them too, hasn't he, Gilly, this season? So he certainly plays a role.
He does indeed. Has been a goal kicker. He gives that one an almighty thump. Out to the left, though. Hooked it.
Yeah, he sort of kicked it off 2 or 3 steps. Oh, that's a bad kick out on that occasion, unfortunately, for Lauderdale. It was Trupp that was looking to go short, but it was really well read on that occasion.
Yeah, so it's straight into the arms. I'm trying to make out who it is out there. Jack Rushton, I think.
Yeah, former Launceston player.
It is indeed Jack Rushton. Hemmed in the pocket. Just a pokey little ball, but it looked okay, but just left it hanging out to the right. So a minus score.
So you expect Trupp to maybe go long down the line on this occasion.
So 2 behinds, plays no score thus far. Both the way of North Launceston. They might have the advantage of a breeze. A ball swung in by Rushton. Laying claim to the mark was Whitford. The umpire having none of it. Rushton in and under. Bullocking through was that man Egger. And it spills out of bounds. It's going to be a lot of this today.
We often see it, don't we, Gilly? We're predominantly down here, left of screen. is where the large portion of the scoring takes place down here at Lauderdale.
So in comes the ball. Big Hayden Smith jostles for position, brings it down. Cox Goodyear tries to just muscle his way through. Can't get past the big man, Smith. Ponting now, sniffs around it, trying to find Egger. He goes through the legs, tunnel ball style. Jeremiah Perkins underneath that. He was crunched. The ball keeps mauling along. Pack forms. And umpire says, I'll have it. So, scrappy football is what we expect today. There's a whistle off the ball. It's going to be a high free kick. I think it's against Dakota Bannister. So he was providing niggle before into Hayden Smith and obviously continued pleasantries. Here he is, big Hayden Smith, one of the leaders in the RACTI Player of the Year. He drives long down the wing. Pack forms. Wiggins couldn't crumb. They just force it out of there to North Launceston. Siggins eyeing it off. Now Wish Wilson. He's tackled from both sides and it'll be a stoppage. Centre wing far side, SkyBus Oval.
Yeah, this might be the order of the day in these sorts of conditions.
So ball down again. Smith brings it to the floor. Socket away by Foon. Rushton couldn't gather. He does eventually. Perkins climbs on top of him.
The secondary tackle there from Robbie Manus just to lock it up.
Umpire Sam Bridges.
There's another free kick off the ball here. So Alex Heavey remonstrating with his North Launceston opponent, which might even be Ryan Mansell. Indeed it is.
Two players that don't mind a bit of that sort of niggle.
And we've got a 50-metre penalty here, so...
Well, they've sucked him in there, Alex Heavey. He's given away the 50, so Josh Ponting will be marched to within 20 metres of goal, maybe even closer. Sam Bridges, the umpire, just keeps on marching, so he'll be right to the goal square. Josh Ponting with a absolute freebie.
Yeah, players still remonstrating in the middle of the ground. Some discussions going on with the umpire, but this will be a goal.
In he comes, powers it through, and lets Lauderdale know about it. First blood drawn, and it goes the way of the visitors.
Yeah, well, you've got to keep your discipline on a day like this, and freebie goals like that, where, you know, Lauderdale were pretty well set up behind the ball, but then all of a sudden a 50-metre penalty, and an easy goal for North Launceston. Great start for them.
So ill discipline from Alex Heavey affords Josh Ponting the easiest of finishes. It looks like a lot of the action's going to happen left of screen. So ball up back in the centre. Off Lee's hands, down for Tepper, not quite. Fed out by Ponting to the big ruckman Lee. Coming through is Anderton. Sweeps it out of defence. Foon gets it on the hop. Feeds it to Lee. Cut off by Sutton. He couldn't quite gather. Lee back in to win the footy. Sutton climbs on top. Good tackle.
He's had a wretched luck, hasn't he, Mitch Anderton? He was the player that just thrust that ball forward for Lauderdale. We'll touch on him a bit later.
Lee down. He was looking for Tepper, who looks to be following around Baker. Kick comes forward. Dive on top of it. No one could gather. Good effort there by Fletcher Bennett. Now it comes out to Simpson. He was crunched as he looked to get the ball away. Fed out. Siggins tries to don't argue. Gets his kick away. Williams sits under a high one. Williams now inside forward 50. First foray for the Bombers of the Southern variety. Slipping through the fingers. All at the fore is red and black. Burge now throws it on the boot. Spiralling effort. Didn't get the journey. Underneath that was Gilby. It's still there for the Bombers. Sutton forces it out off hands. Gilby tries the shimmy and shake. He's gone.
Yeah, had to be caught holding the ball there. He never panics, having said that, Jacob Gilby, when he is tackled. He's prepared to ride that and maybe wait for someone running past, but on that occasion, just held a little bit too long. Good tackle on that instance from Jordan Tepper. He's been in really good form for North Launceston.
Been doing some key jobs, Cam, as Tepper drives it beyond the arc, looking in the direction of Edmonds. He couldn't bring it down. Anderton now to Sutton, who takes the sanctuary of the boundary line. Ball will be thrown in, right half forward for the Southern Bombers. So no score, plays 1-2 as it stands. Ball comes in. Hayden Smith, really good ruck craft. Down from Gilby. Turns the favour, gives it back to Smith. And Wish Wilson watches it out.
Crystal ball, Gilly, how many goals wins this game on a day like today?
Is it first to 50, do you think?
Yeah, you'd think 8 to 10 goals would be a really good outcome from an offensive point of view.
So the ball thrown in again. Smith paddling down. Wish Wilson does well. Gets it to Smith. He's had a lot of the footy. Sutton just spirals it away. Cut off and back the other direction for the Northern Bombers. Shaw was pushed out of it by Whitford. Now with Cox Goodyear. He tries to get through the big bull. He's caught. Maybe lucky to get away with that one. Paddling away was Ponting. Picking up now Sutton. He looks for Saunders. Just overshoots the handball. Sitting under a high one. There's a couple of Lauderdale players, and the one that took the grab was Matt McGuinness.
Yeah, this is what he does so very well, Matt McGuinness.
He's been good so far. McGuinness now kicking towards half forward. They force it out. Baker gets it to Gilby on the outside of the boot. He's Ben McGuinness off for Burge. He was running by. He just got it back for Heavey, who will force it towards the top of the square, and Baker sits under it.
Yeah, good courage from Nick Baker. That's certainly a part of his game you couldn't question. Probably didn't have the year he would have liked at Devils level, Gilly, one of the leaders coming in, but wasn't able to find his best form for one reason or another, but his club form now for 12 months has been terrific. Darren Winter has got big raps on this man.
Nick Baker, this is a big moment for Lauderdale. He goes out to the right, shaping back really nicely. He's got the journey, Nick Baker. Fantastic finish. Lots of fire under Lauderdale.
Yeah, that was a great finish, wasn't it? Powerful kick. He started off to the right and the breeze moved it around, and he got some nice connection with it. Good goal against a run of play for Lauderdale. Well done, Nick Baker. We mentioned coming in that he'll have a pretty heavy workload rolling through the midfield today.
Cuts the margin to just 2 points. They haven't had too much of the play inside that forward 50, Cam, so set shots like that are important on a day where the ball is particularly heavy. Back in the middle we go. Hayden Smith really exerting his dominance. He's having a great year. Sniffing out this one for the Bombers was Ponting. He couldn't quite get it to him. They're kicking in the direction of Wiggins, who's forward at the moment. Gathering was Simpson, cutting it off for North Launceston. It bounces into the arms of Matt McGuinness. Long, nice, raking left foot to his brother Ben.
Gee, that was a great kick.
Well, he's a stylish kick of the ball, isn't he, Matt McGuinness?
He just reads it so very well in that back half, and his brother got some separation. He's the wild card for mine, Ben McGuinness. If you can get him up and running in a final, he can kick 4 or 5 goals and a half and put the game beyond you at times.
He's a game breaker, Ben McGuinness, when firing. Can he get firing today? With a bit of a skip, he starts his approach off the left boot, and that never looked like it.
Not his best effort.
So it doesn't register a score as they kick it long outside of defence. I think that was Van Buren just slipping through the fingers of Bannister. McManus sits and cops one high. He'll get a free kick.
On that occasion, Bannister had no one around him. He probably would have been better off in these conditions to mark it on his chest rather than try and take it in his hands. Robbie McManus now with the free kick.
So McManus looks long, kicking in the direction of Burge. He tries the chest mark, probably not the day for it. Slips through his fingers and out it goes. There's a few tricky numbers on the team sheets. I think there's a couple of stitch-ups, Brownie. They're just trying to work out who's who on the North Launceston team, because I don't actually think that's Dakota Bannister wearing his usual number 5 as the ball comes in again. Down from Smith's fingers, he finds Burge. Burge steers in the direction of Sutton, who got good separation on Davies. So Sutton looks ahead, sees a crowd of 50, powers into the middle. It worked last time, why won't it this time, they say, as he kicks along Saunders. Help the other way from Foon, gathered by Franklin. We haven't seen much of him yet. He has a look at goal, powering effort, but just the wrong side of the upright. A minor score.
It was a nice sidestep from Franklin just to give him some time and space. One thing that's interesting for mine at the moment, Gilly, is just the carry in some of these kicks too, to the right of screen. Normally they get held up in the breeze, but we've seen McGuinness get some real penetration, Baker another one, and then Franklin, as this one's going to come right where we are.
Straight into the van, and you'd have to think that's deliberate, off the boot of Rushton. So Matt McGuinness looked pretty good so far today, Cam. Off that trusty left, he kicks to a pack down the line. His brother Ben sets himself down for Lamps's, late in today. Tries to sock it. Davies shakes off the Lamps's tackle. Inboard they go, fed out by Wadley. Over the top by Event. They keep it moving, just forcing the ball forward. Feed it out. Rushton fists on. Here is Bannister, not quite to him. Bart McCulloch, not his day, forces it out to Ponting. Ponting with a bit of time and space. Looks at the open goal. In fact, it wasn't open because the goalkeeper sitting back there was McManus, and he takes the footy. He looks long in the Gilby direction. Just sat up in the wind there.
Yeah, it was a smart mark, wasn't it? Used all his guile and experience there. Terrific player with ball in hand. Makes great decisions.
Pretty clever player, isn't he? As he steered out towards the direction of Sutton. It was socket away from him by Ponting. Gathered by McCulloch. They drop it back. Here's Foom with a rare look. That one's come funny off the boot and out in the full.
Well, he probably needed to kick on his left side on that occasion because he was always running in that direction. Almost tried to kick it on the outside of the foot of the boot. Be scrappy conditions. You're right about Big Smith. He started well. McGuinness with some early touches for Lauderdale.
Fascinating game thus far. It's one goal apiece, just a point separating them. You sense it's just going to be an arm wrestle all day. If you are just joining us, two key laid outs before the game for Lauderdale with Bell Chambers and Walsh out of the side to their prime movers. That's a good mark taken by McCulloch. Well, he tries a little dance step.
No, he'd like his time over again. He originally wanted to go in board, didn't he? Looking to find Tepper, but he was manned up, then just got himself into trouble there, caught on his left side.
He was a little over-adventurous for a big man. So Matt McGuinness again, reliable user of the football off half-back. Massive game this, plenty riding on it. Could be the minor premiership. This one is high, it'll come down with snow on it. Might literally today.
Yeah, the wind took that on that occasion. Got a few out of bounds on the fulls already, Gilly.
Foon drops in ball for Van Buren. He looks ahead and might be Rushton that's the target, just eludes him. Parallel away by Raglione. Now gathered by McManus. He's bowled into. Comes towards Burge. He couldn't gather. Swinging it inside 50 was Egger. And again, that wind picked it up. And it's out on the full. Again, we're going to see a bit of that, Cam.
I reckon this is Matty McGuinness' third or fourth free kick for out of bounds in the full. Doing some teacher assistant work at St Cuthbert's Catholic school at the moment. Matty McGuinness, where his brother also works.
So Matt McGuinness, that is a strange spiralling effort. It was gathered in the end by Bennett. Picked up by Franklin. Fisted away by Williams as it looked to land in the chest of McCulloch. Be thrown in again as the rain comes down here at SkyBus Oval. An absolute shocking day for footy. Good day for Ducks as the ball comes in from Bev Show, down off the hands of Smith. It goes to the opposition. Bannister, a powering boot, looking along in the Donnelly direction. Fist away by Trupp. Rushton the crummer. He tries something miraculous. Comes back in the path of Mansell. He's bowled into by one. Loses the footy. Back for Rushton. He cries for a free kick and he's going to get one. Well, I don't think they'll play advantage for that one. So the free kick, I think it's going to go to Rushton. It is.
Yeah, just for holding on too long, I think. Free kick against the Lauderdale player. Might have been Perkins who just held on a little bit long in the tackle.
So Jack Rushton, the easiest of finishers, pops it through. And the second for North Launceston. They extend their advantage.
Well, he's a competitive player, Rushton. We saw that. when he played with Launceston last season, played in the lower tier competitions previously in his footy career, but he's just that hard-working forward who'll work very much defensively minded to try and lock the ball in the front half, but he has got some real leg speed, and on that occasion, worked hard, got a free kick. Probably hurts Lauderdale a little bit that both the goals so far have come from free kicks.
Well, they haven't had to actually kick beyond 10 metres yet. That's the trouble with the finishing inside forward 50. So down off Smith's hands, picked up by Ponting. He was virtually speared. It was a menacing tackle that he was met with by Jacob Gilby. So up it goes again. That is a strange throw up from umpire Sam Bridges. Ponting feeds it out. Davies does his best. He swung and crunched. We're going to see a lot of good tackling today, I think. Ball goes up again. Two good ruckmen. Lee out the back looking for the runners. It was gathered by Wadley. Fed out the side. Ponting towards forward 50. Just outside of the reach of Mansell. Fed over the back by Whitford. He was looking for Egger. Whitford now just soccering along, looking for distance. And that's what he gets as the ball finds its way over. They're right in the right forward pocket for the Northern Bombers. They've got the lead, 7-point lead on enemy territory. As the ball comes in, Siggins having a stint in the ruck. He feeds it out the back. Burge slipped through his fingers. He goes in hard to meet it. There was a couple of cries for free kicks both ways. It comes out to Simpson. Kick comes away, and sitting underneath it is Matt McGuinness.
He's had a terrific start. A couple of intercept marks now.
So Matt McGuinness steers it towards a couple of Lauderdale players on that outer side. He's looking in the direction of Heavey, in fact. Couldn't find him. It was seen out.
Very much winning the territorial battle, North Launceston. Lauderdale haven't had a lot of inside 50s.
So Lee down for a runner. A crunching tackle applied by Nick Baker. And it'll be rinse and repeat. There'll be a fair bit of that going on with North Launceston's kits after this game as it comes out the side. Picked up by Tepper. Finds Foon. His handball doesn't find its intended target. They just soccer along Lauderdale, looking for distance. Burge creative, but into the grasp of Davies, who dropped the footy. They'll climb on top, Lauderdale. Umpire circles, but says, I'll have it.
I've been a little bit lucky on that occasion, Davey. So Lauderdale, we're looking to try and win the clearance here from this ball up.
Up it goes again. Smith, a powering fist, gets it the way of Lauderdale, but it's all white jumpers. Event forces the footy forward. Good mark taken by the youngster, Jeremiah the Bullfrog Perkins. Off he goes. Kicks down the wing. Ben McGuinness the target. Fisted away from him by Foon. Trickles out the back. Right in front of the Lauderdale bench. As we have ticked beyond 20 minutes gone in this first quarter from SkyBus Oval. Low scoring affair. If you tuned in expecting goals, I wouldn't be expecting too many, as this kick from Brad Cox-Goodyear inside forward 50 is picked off by Matt McGuinness again.
Well, North Launceston are probably going to have to do something there.
They seem to be just playing into Lauderdale's hands somewhat with those long kicks inside forward 50.
Well, he's playing that role very similar to what he does for the Devils, Matt McGuinness. A good reader of the play, and some of those balls are carrying the extra distance, but he's setting himself up beautifully behind the footy.
It was crunched in a tackle, but I think it's going to go against Nat Franklin on Tepper. He's in the back. Tepper kicks inside forward 50 now. Matt McGuinness again, and double fister this time, down for Raglione. He might have been caught high. The ball is brought to a halt through yet another stoppage.
Yeah, just not much time and space with the footy, is there, in these sort of conditions, Damo?
So up it comes again. Wish Wilson in the ruck now. Whitford tries to claim it. Out the side it comes to Ponting. He gets it to the top of the square. Donnelly couldn't quite gather. Matt McGuinness now applies a good tackle. Keeps it locked.
Yeah, Donnelly's a player that's been moved forward in recent times for North Launceston. We know he's, from what we've seen of him at, that's a kick out of the air.
Just
Point,
a behind.
Trying to manufacture something, which is not a bad option in these sort of conditions. Yeah, Donnelly has been a premiership player on the defensive end of the ground for North Launceston, and that's where he played a lot of his junior footy for the Mariners/Devils.
So Robbie McManus speeds away, goes out to the outer wing, sitting underneath it were a couple of Northern Bombers. Alex Lee, namely, they try and just soccer for distance. Ben McGuinness with an air swing. Comes out the back looking for Wiggins. He couldn't gather, neither could Gilby. Fighting for the footy on hands and knees. There's a whole host of players. No one could really gather. And out it goes. So it'll be thrown in. Out of side centre wing. 1-1-7 plays 2-3-15. It is a arm wrestle in the wet as it comes in again. Lee down. It was gathered by Tepper. Looks like his sort of day. Brad Cox-Goodyear, that powering cannon. He kicks towards 50. Fisted away again by Matt McGuinness. He's playing a stellar game. Gathered by Heavey. It comes out the side of Foon. He gets it down to Fletcher Bennett. Whitford eyeing it off. He was probably brought to ground without the footy.
He's trying to get himself a free kick here, Whitford. I don't think the umpire's having a bar, but quite start actually for him. Now that could nearly have been a free against him.
Yeah, on Nick Baker, I think there. So there's plenty goings on there. Umpire probably rightly just says, let's play the game. The ball comes in. Lee over the top. Down in the path of Cox-Goodyear. Couldn't quite get to him. It was Smith who tried to see it out. Bannister tried to brush off a couple. Lee keeps it alive. Kick inside forward 50. Bouncing towards goal. Trupp held without it. No whistle from the umpire. Gathering now nicely was Mansell. He gives it to Rushton, who's run out of play.
A good tackle then from Perkins just to lock it up. Thought there should have been a free kick on that occasion for Lauderdale.
Yeah, it looked like Trupp was held without it. No question about it.
Just for 3 goals scored, we're about to tick into the 25-minute mark. Won't be a long quarter.
No, it won't. Rushton now to Egger.
Oh, it's another free
caught
kick.
One high. Well, they'll be lining up for their third, and if he kicks this, Sharon Egger, all 3 goals have come from free kicks.
Yeah, that hurts because they've worked really hard defensively, Lauderdale, but just coughed up a couple of free kicks with tackles that are a little bit too high. And as you mentioned, Gilly, that unfortunately they've been dead in front, all of these free kicks. The gimme goal again.
So Sharon Egger, all of 15 metres out. Marches on in and puts it through. A big goal for North Launceston. The dying embers of the first term. They strike to extend their advantage.
Well, it's been a real good pick-up for them, hasn't he, over the last couple of years. And they've got the ability with him and Mansell to just flip-flop them around, back and forward. We saw him play a lot in the defensive end of the ground last year, Egger, since coming across from Devonport. But he's such a competitor. His tackle on the footy is always first class. And he gets on the score sheet. Handy lead now for North Launceston.
The ball back in the middle, North Launceston. What are we? 14-point leaders. That is a decent lead on a day like today. Down off the hands of Franklin, gathered by the big man Smith. He brushes off one, looking the Matt McGuinness direction. Van Buren clever off the ground. Just paddles it along, almost for Edmonds. Keeps it moving, does Van Buren. Gets really good distance. Just brings them inside forward 50. If they could steal another Cam Brown, it would be a really good term.
Yeah, very much so. Gee, Lauderdale haven't had an inside 50, Gilly, for probably 15 minutes.
I reckon you're right as Lee paddles it down. It's into the path of Siggins. He finds Franklin. Franklin towards Sutton. Did well to bring it to ground, but he might have offended. Yeah, just over the shoulder of Ponting.
Yeah, Ponting would fancy himself here. He'll start it right and try and bring it back.
He's got Cox-Goodyear lurking, but Siggins wise to the situation. Knows the cannon he possesses. So Ponting Right, Cam Brown does fancy himself from right on 50. Starts it right. It's an ugly-looking kick. Doesn't have the journey. Donnelly!
Well, they're going to be rare today, I would have thought. Overhead contested marks, but just predictable, wasn't he? He was in the front position. That was a strong mark. We mentioned early on in the call. Now playing as a forward.
So Donnelly will line up. Slight angle out to the left. He pokes at it. He's just done enough. Sneaks it in inside the right upright. And it's another goal for North Launceston. 20-point leaders here at SkyBus Oval.
Yeah, he kicked 3 last week, didn't he, in that win over Launceston. And he gets on the scoreboard again today. And worrying signs now, a 20-point lead in these sorts of conditions. It's going to need a good response from Darren Winter's men when they get into the quarter-time huddle. And for them, traditionally, the scoring end is to the left of screen, but they wouldn't want to concede another one here. They've coughed up a couple in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Chicken's struggling at this stage to get into the game. Having said that, he's spending a bit of time too on Cox Goodyear.
So in it comes. Punch towards Cox Goodyear, and that matchup you just spoke of, Franklin will win himself a free kick. Should be the sort of day that brings Nat Franklin's best, really.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Here he goes, Franklin, kicking along in the direction of Smith and McGuinness. The latter flies and brings it to ground, crumbs his own footy, steers it towards half forward. Simpson lost the ball as Burge tackled him. They scurry it out of defence, looking in the Edmonds direction. He's got Anderton for company. He watches it over.
Yeah, we mentioned Mitch Anderton. Halfway through last year, he was in ripping form, wasn't he, for the Devils? And was in the Allies squad, but then just had that injury. And I would have actually liked to have seen him play a little bit more footy this year for the Devils, Gilly. But for whatever reason, was only able to get a handful of games, if that.
Smith punches it down. Ponting tackle without it. He'll win a free kick. He's been very industrious so far, Cam.
He's got plays with great effort, doesn't he? He's so workmanlike the way he goes about it. Beautiful pass too.
Robin finds Batman. Ponting to this man, Brad Cox Goodyear. And to be honest, you wouldn't fancy many players, but you'd fancy him from here.
Well, he can kick him from anywhere, can't he? And we've seen him on tighter angles than these kick goals. But just based on what we've seen now, he's got to head this a fair bit to the right goal post.
Starts his approach. Right on the siren. He has shanked it horribly. And that releases the pressure valve for Lauderdale, because that really would have hurt. They are 20 points adrift, though. North Launceston with a really solid first term to open this crucial home and away encounter down at SkyBus Oval.
Well, I thought at the 20-minute mark, Lauderdale would have been fairly happy with the first quarter, particularly with their effort. But unfortunately for them, North Launceston just kicked a couple of goals, and which is a great reward for their effort, because they certainly had the majority of the play was in their front half of the ground. But up until the last 5 minutes, they maybe haven't capitalised on that. I thought Matt McGuinness in the first 20 minutes was outstanding. Just his ability to fill in the hole there, take some intercept marks, use the footy. Thought he was terrific. I thought Smith got his hands on the ball first for Lauderdale. But then in the end, we just started to see some of the big names of North Launceston, and Cox Goodyear just started to roll into a little bit of form then. Donnelly took a lovely mark, didn't he? And then Egger and Rushton with free kicks, which Lauderdale would have liked to have had again, and Ponting with an early goal from a 15-metre penalty. So on a game like today, you just don't want to be giving your opposition free looks at it, in particular from maybe ill-disciplined free kicks, which are directly in front of goal. So they made the most of their opportunities, North Launceston, but Lauderdale, they just couldn't find the footy in the end in the last 5 or 10 minutes, and difficult for their forwards. They probably only had 3 or 4 inside 50s, I would have thought, for the quarter, Gilly, but they'll get an opportunity now to regroup. They need to respond, because that's a handy 20-point margin at quarter time.
Yes, so often at games down here at Lauderdale, we need the benefit of the first half to just see what the wind's doing, though.
I'd agree.
So we'll just put a little bit of a
rider on it?
Yeah, just a rider on this so far, just to see how significant that breeze is, because, as you said, the territory battle was well and truly won by North Launceston, and you sense that the wind might be doing quite a bit. But as it stands, it's a 20-point lead for the Northern Bombers over their Southern Bomber counterparts. And here are the goal kickers. 4 goals, and, well, 3 of them came from free kicks, Cam, and that ill discipline didn't help things for Lauderdale, and I'm sure Darren Winter wouldn't be wrapped with how those came.
No, as we mentioned, they're just freebies, which just makes it so hard in these sorts of conditions, and who knows what's going to happen in the next hour and a half in terms of the weather here. So Lauderdale in tricky conditions, and we said at the outset, gee, there's a lot to play for, but not making excuses for them, but already Bell Chambers and Walsh, they're missing their drive around the midfield. They're the type of conditions for them, bullocking strong players through the hips. So they're going to have to find it from other avenues just around the grounds too, Gilly. Good start for the Tigers. 2 straight goals to Glenorchy. 1 goal, 6 the Tigers to Glenorchy yet to score. So perhaps could have been even better for them. 7 scoring shots to none, but only up by 12 points. And Launceston with a fast start at Blunston Arena too. 5-3-33 to Clarence, just 1 straight goal.
And here it is 4-3-27. The goal kickers, Josh Ponting, Jack Rushton, Sharon Egger and Tom Donnelly. Just the 1 goal kicker for Lauderdale, and that was Nick Baker. Really nice mark and finish from him. So Lauderdale with a job to do. They're in the huddle. We'll have the briefest of breaks here at Lauderdale Oval in terms of commentary and be back for a massive second quarter. Stay with us. So back for the second term here at SkyBus Oval, a 20-point lead to the Northern Bombers. It's been a real arm wrestle for a lot of it. They, towards the end of the quarter, Cam, they started to exert their dominance on the scoreboard. It was really close for, what would you say, almost 20 minutes?
Yeah, I would have thought. I mean, we looked at one point, it was coming up to the 25-minute mark, and they just got a couple of goals late, didn't they, North Launceston? Which allowed them now to have a very handy 20-point lead at quarter time, so the response needs to be there for Lauderdale. Ben McGuinness looked lively, didn't he? So if they can get it down to him. Gilby's going to be a crafty forward. He won't need too many opportunities to make it pay on the scoreboard, so if they can get it into his hands.
Well, they've got some weaponry down there, don't they? The likes of Wiggins, Gilby, Ben McGuinness and Burge can all kick you a score, as well as Saunders, who's ditched the long sleeve. As we're back underway. Off the hands of Smith, down for Baker. He gets it out the side. They lose it, though, towards Cox Goodyear. He wrestles for the footy in the end, tries the soccer towards Mansell. Runs at it, picks it up. It's into the path of Perkins, and he's claimed in a tackle. So they get the first clearance, North Launceston. That's important for them, because we believe the breeze is doing quite a bit to the left of screen. Down off Smith's hands, picking this one up is Egger. He's always under the pack. Sweeping a kick away was Tepper. Socket out of there quite nicely, but it falls to Egger again. He tries a kick toward goal. It's well wide, but again, gets some valuable territory.
Yeah, that's right. It's a real good territory for North Launceston. Boundary throw-in. If they can score from here, that'll be a real bonus.
So the ball to be thrown in again. Smith all on his own in the ruck there. Brought it down. Tepper just dealt with Anderton. Gets his kick away.
Oh.
Really nice hands with Edmonds.
Yeah, just caught Matty McGuinness on that occasion, who was caught from behind. But that's what you've got to do. Just hack it forward in these sorts of conditions. Play the basics. We saw Donnelly playing in front in that first quarter to take a mark. And now, once again, North Launceston get another look at it.
So in comes Edmonds. Again, 10 metres out. That's where they've done their work today, Cam Brown. He steers this one through. First of the second quarter goes the way of the visitors. They extend their margin to 26 points.
Yeah, we talked about the competitive nature of both teams coming in with finals aspirations. Edmonds is a player as well that hasn't played a lot at the TSL level, but so an important game for him. But he just played in front there on a quality opponent. Nice finish.
So
not what Lauderdale would have wanted, though.
No, not at all. In fact, the worst possible start to the second.
Really good player last week for them too, Edmonds.
Ball up again, straight in the path of Smith. He's doing his best. He drops it off to Franklin. Just throws it on the boot. It's a torpedo towards Ben McGuinness. He brings it to ground. Van Buren gets it out of there. Davies couldn't quite catch the slips catch. Just feeds it to Ponting. Over the top to Foon. He's just about run out of tarmac. Just keeps it alive to Tepper. He was tackled. Came to Davies. He was clipped high. It's going to be a free kick going against Saunders. Just a little over exuberant.
Made sure the umpire saw it. Saunders has been in pretty good form too for Lauderdale, but not able to get into the game just yet. Hasn't had a lot of opportunities, it's got to be said.
Ugly kick from Davies. Comes the way of Smith again. Geez, he's a much improved player, Hayden Smith.
Well, he just gives you so much around the ground. It's not just his tap work, which is always first class, but he gets around the park really well. He's competitive at ground level. Got a big frame, hard to get around.
So down it comes off the hands of Lee. Franklin tries to get it out of there. Quite creative in the end. It works okay to Baker, but the all-white shirts around it. Now with a vent. He finds a target over the top, and out it goes. Yeah, Hayden Smith is a comparison that was made by Chris Rowbottom in commentary to Shane Mumford. I didn't mind it at the time, and I still don't mind it now. As it comes down to Ponting, he was tackled without it. He'll get a free kick. Josh Williams trying to do the right thing there for his team, but just lost track of where the footy was. Ponting.
Had a good first quarter, didn't he, Ponting?
He's been superb, hasn't he, Cam?
And Tepper, certainly. Two of the better players for North Launceston.
You can tell that ball's heavy. It just went nowhere off the boot of Ponting. Breaker tries to break away. Comes out the side, fed from the debutant. And they power it towards 50, but Van Buren, sitting in the hole, takes the grab.
Nice touch and awareness there from Lincoln Arnold, his first game. He's recently come back from the Tasmanian under-16 team in Queensland.
So Van Buren kicks onto the outer wing. Good mark by Oscar Shaw.
This is his issue, the kicking. There it is.
Well called, Cam Brown. That was a shocker off the boot. Goes to Ponting. He goes towards Lee. It was slapped out of him. He went back into traffic for some unknown reason, and maybe slightly lucky to get away with it.
Love his effort, Oscar Shaw. He gives 110% each and every week. Just that kick, though, isn't it? That is a worry and has held him back a little bit.
No question about it. Down off the hands of Smith. It comes into the path of Franklin. He kicks inside forward 50 through the arms of Whitford. They just hack it out of there, but sitting underneath it was Baker. Only goal kicker so far for Lauderdale. This would take his very best.
Donnelly's moved into the back half in this quarter by the look of it, so he might play all his footy up one end of the ground today, Gilly.
You see that a little bit with players.
Yep.
I know Bernie, when they were in the competition, Nick McKenna quite often.
Yeah, definitely.
Just spend time at one end of the ground. So in comes Baker. He goes out to the right to give it a little bit more journey. It's not going to quite get there. Fisted away. Ball still alive. Coming across was a vent, and he slides his way out.
It was a similar kick to his goal in the first quarter, wasn't it? Wasn't spinning like the traditional drop punt, but he seemed to get some good power and penetration on it. Thought at one point it was going to carry through. Lauderdale desperately need a goal here.
So in it comes again. Smith just shields the footy. He lost track of it. He had it, but he didn't know how to do anything with it. Coming through is Burge. Loses the ball. Feed it out through hands here, North Launceston. Clever
Great
little
kick.
dinky kick by Cox Goodyear. That is experience on show.
Oh, it was. Just the awareness then to lower his eyes and pick out a target. We haven't seen that too often today.
So powering kick, centre wing. Flying for it was Edmonds, the most recent goal kicker. Mansell takes the crumb and just kicks for distance, but unfortunately the wind blows it out. And will be Matt
okay,
McGuinness
Edmonds,
again.
doesn't he, the way he jumped at the footy then?
Yeah, he's flown pretty well. Matt McGuinness, how many of these has he had, Cam?
Oh, for out in the forward, and that's 5. Here's Oscar Shaw.
Great kick to find Oscar Shaw. Really good connection between the pair. And it's going to be 50.
Yeah, it was against Ben Simpson on that occasion for overstepping the mark. His Devils teammate. They would have played a fair bit of footy together. Now
He's
it's
getting a
another
double
100.
50. So the 100-metre penalty.
What was the second one for, Gilly? Was that from encroaching on the mark? He doesn't kick too many goals, Oscar Shaw, but he will kick this one.
I think it was a lack of awareness because, you know, with the new rule,
Yep.
you've got to get out of the way of the kicker. He did it on that occasion. He was marched straight to the goal line and pops it through. Oscar Shaw on the board and a much-needed goal for Lauderdale.
He's a fierce competitor and he's so courageous in the air, Oscar Shaw. We've seen him back time and time again for his Devils and his TSL career.
So we're just watching the replay here, Cam.
Now, he took the, and I think he got too close again, but
we didn't see the follow-up, but I think he was too busy conversing with the umpire to realise that he actually blocked the path of Shaw.
well called.
So back in the middle, a much-needed goal for Lauderdale. Down off the hands of Lee in the path of Ponting. Couldn't quite gather. Wadley almost just paddled out of there. It's going all against Lauderdale. It's going to be a Davies kick. I think he just caught the ankle of Davies there, Franklin.
Yep, no, again, well called. He's had a bit of the footy too, Davies. A nice left foot. Oh, you give a guy a wrap.
Kicks it towards Wadley. Good enough to pick it up and find Rushton. He put it right onto the toes of Ponting. Made it difficult for the on-baller. Comes back to mop up his mess. He's caught in a good tackle. Umpire circling, but he's not going to give the free kick that Lauderdale are after. Too high, says the umpire. It's a Rushton ball. So Jack Rushton with the wind howling in here at Lauderdale. That is a strange old kick. Finds its way to Davies. That is clever stuff from Cox Goodyear. Crunched in a tackle with Shaw. And he'll get a free kick because he was crunched high.
Yeah, well deserved. He set himself in the hole.
That is an interesting kick from Shaw, but Sutton has time and space to go to work. Just a nudgy ball over the top. The runner of Williams couldn't quite get there in time.
Yeah, important day for Williams. He's been in and out of the Lauderdale team this season. At his best, he's a hard runner, outside runner who can hurt you with his pace.
So the ball comes in again. Neither ruckman could get to it. Gathering was Lampsis. Just slaps it on the boot towards Wiggins. We haven't called his name an awful lot. Comes out the back to Van Buren. There's Wiggins doing some work. Brings it to ground. He's probably caught one high. Simpson now feeding out a handball to Whitford. Been reasonably quiet, but he puts this on the chest of Ponting.
This is what they've probably done. The basics a little bit better. North Launceston, they've just played in front, been predictable to their teammates.
Pops this one up, gives it some air. Smith brings it down. Cox Goodyear stayed down. Gets it towards his coach in Whitford. Powers towards half forward. Truck back the other way. Nothing beautiful, but just getting the job done. Coming through was McGuinness. He copped one high as he got his kick away. Sutton now inside forward 50. Gathered by Van Buren. He finds Foon. Arches the back. And will power one straight down the spine. Kicking towards Egger. It was Perkins who was there with him. Brought it to Shaw. Feeding out a handball quite cleverly. I think that was the coach, Whitford. Kick inside forward 50 now. Gathered by Matt McGuinness. The quarterback back there. Gets it to Shaw. He seals a teammate into all sorts of trouble, and he might be in a bit of trouble himself. Looks a bit ginger there, Shaw, as we see it again on the replay. Just dropped it off to the debutant and then ran into him. Ball down off Lee hands. Coming through was Franklin. Comes on the outside of the contest. McManus eyeing it off. Just powers a kick towards Wiggins. They bring it to ground, but the runners are all in white Guernseys. It was gathered by Van Buren. He's had a good quarter. Gets it to Davies. Davies now gets his kick away in the nick of time. Out towards half forward. Doesn't quite get there.
North Launceston half back line's holding up pretty well. They'd be disappointed, I think, from a Lauderdale perspective. They had a few inside 50 entries, but not necessarily deep ones, and North Launceston been able to repel from the back half.
So ball thrown in, centre wing broadcast position here at SkyBus Oval. McManus bit off too much. Ran into Wadley, and Wadley wins himself a free kick with a good tackle. So Carlton Wadley.
The underrated player.
Become much more of a mainstay in this side this season. Pokey little ball down the wing.
Oh, well
arriving well was Ponting. He's having a belter.
He's really running into some good form in the back half of the season.
Feeds it over the top to Foon. Pretty clever stuff. Inboard was the handball for Rushton. And Ponting gathers and takes the sanctuary of the boundary line. So 12, almost 13 minutes gone here. A 20-point advantage the way of the Northern Bombers. Lauderdale kicking with the wind in this quarter.
They'll be happy, North Launceston, at the moment. They've been able to maintain that lead from quarter time.
Ben McGuinness forces the ball forward. Coming through with Sutton. Just fresh airy on that one. Heavey gets a kick away. Lampsas now kicking in the direction of Wiggins. The wind has picked that one up and taken it on its way. Bounced over though, so that is a valuable gain of territory for the hosts.
Jacob Gilby directing a lot of his teammates here in this stoppage. He's trying to provide some instruction and leadership. Pretty well set up behind the footy, Lauderdale.
So the ball to be brought in once more. Lauderdale need a goal. Down from Siggins. Ben McGuinness tries to find McManus. Finds the boundary line instead. So a 20-point margin, as we said. North Launceston with one goal to Lauderdale's one goal in this quarter as the ball is forced into the centre. Looking to shake it off was Haley. He just took on a little too much there, Cam. And you were speaking about Jacob Gilby, smart player, was all over that one.
And he's always had really good forward craft. He's gone back a long way to kick this one. But you can see, coming back to that first quarter, Gilly, those couple of free kicks that Lauderdale gave away, now they look quite telling, don't they, with this 20-point lead. Lauderdale haven't been able to make inroads into it.
With a little skip, Gilby powers towards goal. Didn't get the journey. It's going to be hard today. Young bounds out of half back. Sitting underneath it was Perkins. Great mark, young fellow.
Yeah, he's been pretty competitive today. He's going to drive this one long.
He does just that, Cam Brown, looking for Siggins. He might have had his shirt held. He's flying amongst a couple of Northern Bombers to climb on top and hold the ball in there. North Launceston with not too many players forward of the footy.
Yeah, just got to lock it in here, Lauderdale, and try and manufacture a goal.
Siggins over the back, gathered by Cox Goodyear. He tried to brush off Heavey, but he won't be punished for it. Umpire says, that's mine.
What North Launceston were able to do in the first quarter in these instances, just get their hands on the footy first, and Lauderdale sweated and gave away some free kicks.
Whitford gathers the footy and is crunched to the ground. They're doing this pretty well, North Launceston. Just to not give away free kicks or the footy. Comes to Tepe, is the ball blocked, bouncing away. Davies, good shepherd, allows Brad Cox Goodyear to run in. She's caught from both sides though, and that is a really good effort from Ben McGuinness.
He's not an easy man to bring down.
Be his kick. That mullet sweeping in the wind. Kicks towards the square. Gilby sets himself, as does Wiggins. Ball to ground, gathered by Foon. Then Simpson gets his kick away. It's touched off the boot, but found Davies. He just forces it outside of defensive 50. Mansell loses his footing. Oscar Shaw puts it straight back in the mixer. Setting himself was McCulloch. Really good defensive grab.
Great mark. He took a nice mark in the first quarter too. It was nice play from Oscar Shaw. Deep inside 50 entry. They're just lacking a crummer at the moment, Lauderdale.
So he pokes one into the pocket and finds Simpson.
Certainly had their share of the play in this quarter.
Simpson just sold Young a little bit short. Over the top came Heavey. Keeps it locked inside forward 50 for Lauderdale. See on the replay. Good work from Alex Heavey, the skipper today for Lauderdale. So the ball comes in again. Holds up in the wind. Down off McCulloch's hands. Sniffing around with Saunders. Didn't get to him. Feeding it out nicely with the Northern Bombers through a web of handballs. It came from Bannister. Finds its way to Davies. He kicks for distance towards Mansell. Colliding with a couple of Devils teammates. Shooting the ball was Matt McGuinness. Shaw, not his best handball. He'll get a relieving free kick though.
Yeah, free kick too high for Matty McGuinness, who was instrumental in that first quarter.
So Matt McGuinness from half back. Stylish kick of the football. Kicks for his brother. Just goes over his head. Forces it in the direction of Wiggins. He goes off the deck as well. Caught high was McCulloch, but I think there was a free kick beforehand. Matters little as it's a North Launceston free kick.
They'll be in no hurry here.
It's a Van Buren ball. Good player, Van Buren.
Yeah, underrated.
They've done well with their recruits so far this season, North Launceston. You look at Tepper, Davies and Van Buren, all quality players as he kicks long down the line to a pack. And that one's fizzled its way out of play. I think it was out on the full. Yes, says the Bev Show. We go the way of Ben McGuinness, working his way up the ground to get involved in the contest. Kicks long, Packle form. McCulloch sets himself again, just slipped through his fingers at the crucial moment. Gilby just forces it forward. It favours Young, who led Siggins to it in a foot race.
Yeah, that was disappointing from Siggins. He needed to be in front there. Can't get into the game at all today.
He's struggling. So Young, from deep defence, kicking in the direction of a couple of North Launceston players. They were pretty well set up there. Didn't end up finding their way to them. Ben McGuinness did pretty well to bring it to ground. Now Baker has to take on the tackle.
They've just been better at ground level. They've got lower more often, I think, than Lauderdale, North Launceston.
So Ben McGuinness again, creative and good. Gets it off to Saunders, receives back. Kicking towards Siggins, doesn't get to him. In the hole was Event.
That's what they've been able to do this quarter. A key feature for mine, just being able to get in those pockets of spaces and make it really hard for Lauderdale.
Fishing away with Ben McGuinness. He might have given away a free kick there on McCulloch. The ball is played on. Advantage paid. They might regret that one as Wadley's crunched in a really good trap tackle.
They've just seemed to be able to, whenever Lauderdale thrust the ball forward, North Launceston well placed down back and have been able to just get it out of the danger area by hand or foot.
Ponting forces the ball out. Wadley, Good tackle applied by McManus. And no, you weren't here. Cam Brown last we were down at Lauderdale, and Tubes Taylor was in the commentary box alongside me. He gave Edward Trupp the nickname of the skeleton with hair. The ball is thrown up again. Ben McGuinness, he's right in the action today as Whitford very wisely sees it over.
Yeah, Whitford hasn't been able to get into the game, not necessarily his conditions, but he'll certainly have his moments in the second half. Great look at the Bev show here.
Bit of style to that throw. A little shallow though, I got to say, as it comes towards Burge. He tries to burst it forward. McCulloch thumps it into the path of Ponting. Down for Whitford. He couldn't gather the foot. He dives onto it. He'll have to get this out. Whitford. Umpire circling. I think it just squirted out of his hands, luckily.
Yeah, so that tick into the 21-minute mark. Still that 20-point lead. Just a goal each this quarter.
1 goal apiece. 20-point margin. The way of the Northern Bombers. Baker wrestling for the footy with Cox Goodyear. In comes Whitford, just soccers along. He finds Haley. Haley just gets his kick away. Sitting in the hole was Matt McGuinness. Shoved off it by Edmonds. Clever stuff there by Shaw. Coming through is Anderton. Gets it back for Oscar Shaw. Kicks it outside of defence. Couldn't quite find Sutton. Out the back. Roller skates on. They lost their footing. And Sutton able to capitalise. Kicking for Saunders just over his head. Soccering along was Heavey. Could have been in danger. Coming through was McCulloch. He's done pretty good on a day that's not meant for tools. Cox Goodyear caught in a tackle now, and he'll get a free kick. Clipped high.
And he knows all his experience is just going to chew up the clock a little bit. They'll be really content, I would have thought, to go in 20 points in front at half time.
That booming boot hangs up in the wind. Fisted away well by Trupp. It was gathered by Sutton. He powers it the other way. That one's really picked up some steam. The debutant with a good tackle. That's going to be a free kick. Young Arnold there showed a little bit.
His dad, Matty Arnold, played senior footy at Clarence back in the 90s. His grandfather too, John Chivers, played for Clarence and also played with Richmond in the AFL back in the 60s. Good pedigree.
Really good pedigree as the ball's moved on a centre wing. Far side here, SkyBus Oval. It's powered forward by Sutton. He's kicking in the direction of Smith, who always provides a contest. Sees it out. It's right area for Lauderdale. They would love a goal here, Cam, just to trim back the margin a little bit and win the quarter.
They haven't really looked like scoring. The goal they did get from Oscar Shaw was that 50-metre penalty, or double 50-metre penalty.
The ball comes in. Ben McGuinness has really worked hard this quarter. Sutton just throws it on the boot. Smith there providing a target. Slipped through his fingers. He went with a chest mark. They're going to be difficult today. It'll be balled up.
Well, this is about the time when North Launceston just kicked a couple of late goals in the first quarter, didn't they, to give them this handy lead. Lauderdale need to do something similar.
The ball squirts out the side. There'll be another stoppage. You sense the umpire is circling, and he opts for the stoppage. Yeah, you're right. This is around the time in the first term where North Launceston made their move.
A little stalemate, really, this quarter.
Over the back from Lee. It was gathered by Cox Goodyear. Found space when there was none. Ponting now, forced over. It'll be thrown in. .20 margin. Northern Bombers have come on a mission to take top spot. It's down from Lee. Gathered from Siggins, out of nowhere, fires a shot. Fantastic, Sam Siggins. Oh, touched. The umpire's saying it's touched.
Gee, that hurts. There was no complaints from Lauderdale players. But that's the type of goal you need, don't you, on a day like today, just to manufacture something out of nothing.
That's a blow for Lauderdale. It looked like Sam Siggins, who's been pretty quiet, had lit a fuse with that goal from the stoppage, but not to be. Touched off the boot, I think. So They do get a behind though, Lauderdale.
Well, I reckon we've only got a minute and a half left in this quarter tops, Gilly, with just the 2 goals scored. We're about to tick into the 25-minute mark, so big couple of minutes coming up.
Tepper, that's holding the ball. Took on the tackler. Ben McGuinness had a terrific turn. They just haven't got the reward on the scoreboard. That's not his best kick at all.
This has been the feature for mine from a North Launceston perspective. Their intercept marks and their ability to get back into space and just play in front, do the basics.
Kicks towards Lee. That's a really good grab from the ruckman, Alex Lee.
I reckon they'd be happy to go in with this, what is it, Gilly, a 19-point lead.
19-point buffer as it stands. Ben McGuinness again brings it down for Franklin. Coming through is Ponting, and that's bad luck. That's out on the full. It's not going to matter because the siren sounds on the second term in the first half here from SkyBus Oval. It's been an arm wrestle, one going the way of the Northern Bombers thus far, as we see. It's really good bit of work by Tepper. He just bullocked his way through, forced it to Edmonds. Good mark on a wet day, finished off, and that was one of only 2 goals in the quarter. They got the first goal of the quarter, North Launceston, to extend their advantage to 26 points, and then it was cut back courtesy of a 100-metre penalty. You saw this. It was a nice kick from Matt McGuinness to spot up Shaw, and the free kick was given against Simpson, who well and truly ran over the mark, it must be said.
An unlikely goal source, and then basically for probably the next 20 or so minutes it was just an arm wrestle, and Lauderdale certainly had their share of the footy. They were able to pump it down into their inside 50 regularly, but unfortunately for them they just weren't able to impact on the scoreboard. They had a half chance there with who was it, Siggins in the end, touched off the boot, and we thought that might have been just what they needed, but a little bit of luck goes against them. But I just thought they lacked a crummer, someone with a bit of forward craft. Karanua would be very handy for them today, just his smarts around goal. So we know Walsh is someone who's a goal kicker when he does go forward. Unfortunately, he's not in the team today. So they're probably just missing a little bit of that. Gilby hasn't been able to hit the scoreboard. But you just come back to that first quarter, don't you? Those couple of free kicks in a low-scoring game really hurt you, don't they, when just 7 goals scored in the first half. So they're going to have to probably hold ground, Lauderdale, in this third quarter, maybe pitch 1 or 2 against the flow and then rely on a big last quarter. But at the moment, you'd say the 19-point margin is a very handy lead for North Launceston.
It's been a pretty professional showing, really, from Taylor Whitford's men on the road on a wet day. They've negotiated the conditions well. They've played smart footy. Yeah,
and look, they've had some good contributors, haven't they? We mentioned Tepper, who's worked really hard. I thought Cox Goodyear got better in that quarter. Davies off half-back was one of those people. Events another who were able to take some intercept marks in the back half. So Egger plays a role. We know Ponting, I thought, has been terrific. So they've had some, and I really like the look at Edmonds. Hasn't got a lot of the footy, but certainly has promising signs, and he was a good player last week for them. So Lauderdale probably need a lift from Siggins. He hasn't been able to get into the game as well. I reckon Heavey can still have a big second half. Probably need a little bit more out of the midfielders in Baker too and Franklin. So they've got it all to do, Lauderdale. Matt McGuinness had a really strong first half from him. I thought Ben McGuinness was trying hard to get involved in the game. But they're going to have to respond pretty quickly, because if from a North Launceston perspective, if they were to get a couple of early goals in this quarter, that's probably shut the gate for the game.
It has, and it's a game that has a lot riding on it. The minor premiership, is it slipping out of the hands of Lauderdale? Well, advantage North Launceston at this stage. Stay with us. We'll have a big second half coming up. We'll have a brief break from commentary now. Down at SkyBus Oval, it is a 19-point lead to the Northern Bombers. Welcome back to SkyBus Oval. This game at the moment is in North Launceston's keeping. A 19-point advantage as it stands. They had the better of the first quarter with 4 goals to 1. In the second term, it was 1 goal apiece and was a real arm wrestle, and they did a great job, Cam Brown across half back, just to repel everything that Lauderdale presented, and they've got themselves in a really good position to not just win this game but to get themselves onto the top of the ladder by the end of this season.
Yeah, the first 10 or 15 minutes will be critical to the future outcome of this game for mine, Gilly. I thought you summed it up really well. It was the back half of North Launceston which stood up really well. They just played the basics, didn't they? They were in front of their man. They were first to the ball at ground level too. And they won the contested footy for mine, which just made it really hard for Lauderdale to really get any connection with their midfield and forwards. It's a tough day for that. You've just got to scrap and find a way to kick some goals. And, you know, North Launceston have got theirs, 2 or 3 of those from free kicks. So that's probably been the difference, hasn't it, in this first half. So we'll see how they go. And they've got Ben McGuinness starting in the midfield here too for the second half. I don't mind that because he's one player that has been pretty competitive. Is he going to go up in the ruck?
I think he might be in the ruck.
Which means perhaps...
I don't know where Big Hayden Smith is as it stands. He might be in a spot of bother, Brownie, because he's not out there. So Ben McGuinness whacks this one forward. Gathering his Cox Goodyear. Feeds out, he's caught in a Baker tackle. Ben McGuinness kicks it straight into him. Bannister scurries it clear. Comes the way of Wadley. He couldn't quite gather. Sniffing around the footy was Whitford, and Raglione will fumble it over. We haven't called his name too much, Raglione.
I don't reckon he's had many touches at all. The former Clarence player.
So the conditions have got better. The sun's somewhat peeking through. The wind's still howling though, and you can see that on that throw as it comes out the back. Franklin, was he tackled without? The umpire doesn't agree. The kick comes from Whitford and is tipped over by the skeleton with hair, Edward Trapp. 20-point margin now for North Launceston. Matt McGuinness to do the kicking in duties. Occasionally can go a little too brave with his kicking. What does he go here? Straight down the Haydiddle Diddle. It holds up in the sky. Is fumbled by Franklin. Swung back in by Rushton. Good diving catch.
Well, that's what North Launceston were able to do in that second quarter, weren't they? When Lauderdale entered the forward 50.
Matt McGuinness again kicking towards Ben McGuinness. It just slipped out the back, and Baker was good enough to take the mark.
The difficult thing in these conditions, it's really really hard to switch the play, isn't it? There's been a 15-metre penalty against the North Launceston player remonstrating, maybe even getting too close in the mark.
It was Carlton Wadley.
It was.
So Baker.
So that's just handy, isn't it? Just to give them opportunity now, work their way forward. Inside 50.
Baker, that is a strange old kick and a good grab taken by Davies because it was a hard ball to catch.
He's been good, isn't he? He sort of plays that quarterback, gets in the back half, reads it well.
He kicks long to a wing. Baker sits underneath it, cuts it off short, grubby kick straight in the arms of Lee. Lee now just kicks for distance. That is a really odd kick. But gets the territory, and a day like today, that is valuable.
Gilly, you mentioned the big fella, Hayden Smith. He's actually got the top on at the moment, over the top of his jumper, which makes you think that maybe he's not coming back in the second half. That'll be a blow for Lauderdale. Thought he was pretty good, particularly early.
That is a massive blow. Sitting third currently on the RACTI Player of the Year award leaderboard as it's down from Lee, gathered by Ponting, almost for Rushton. He paddles it through his legs, gathered by Ponting again, out for Cox Goodyear, just tries to paddle it to himself. Kicks it inside 50. Rushton races onto the ball. Kicks towards McCulloch. He doesn't gather. Ponting comes it in. Makes someone else's problem. Wadley out now. Bannister slipping through his fingers. There's a ping-ponging ball from Cox Goodyear. Deep inside forward 50 and watched over there by Jay Foon. The ball to be thrown in. Deep forward 50 for North Launceston. They're on the road and so far so good. McCulloch down to his feet. Strange involvement there by Trupp. Found its way out. His arms and legs were all over the shop there. Ball to be thrown in again. Stoppage, heavy game.
Gee, it's a shallow throw in.
Very shallow throw. It finds its way to Whitford. He was caught just in the nick of time. Perkins now gets his barrel away. Sitting underneath it is Young. Was well shielded by Lee. Smart work from the ruckman. His influence will come into this game more and more, you sense, with Smith out of it. Good fist from Trupp.
Gee, we've seen a lot of inside 50s in this first half and early in the third quarter where the wind just takes it down towards the left and it makes it hard to get it out of that area from the opposition, but also from the team in the forward half to score. Difficult pocket to score from.
So down off the hands of Lee. The favour of Lauderdale, but sitting and waiting was Davies. He steers in ball. That's a good mark taken from Donnelly.
It was a nice kick on the non-preferred side from Davies. I think he's been really good today. Donnelly's going back with some confidence here. I'm not sure he's quite got the journey.
Well, we've seen getting the journey's been pretty difficult today. Even the likes of Brad Cox Goodyear. So in comes Donnelly. He kicks it from within the square. He leaves it hanging out to the left. He did get the journey in the finish, but not the accuracy. A minus score for North Launceston. Takes them to 5-5-35. So a 21-point victory. Lauderdale.
Victory, you've declared it.
Victory, sorry. 21-point lead. Well, the way they're going, Cam Brown, it could well be a victory.
Well, the next 10 minutes, I believe, will be telling here. Gee, once again, a
strange old
kick from Baker, wasn't it?
Was indeed. The fall was Wiggins, slipping through his fingers. We have not called Wiggins' name much at all. Umpire circling here. It'll be another stoppage. Far side, SkyBus Oval. Conditions are actually reasonable at the moment. The way the rain has stayed away for a little bit. Lee down. Clever over the back was Cox Goodyear, but it's Lauderdale waiting through Franklin. His ball bounces into the path of Ben McGuinness. It will be a free kick. I think it's going to go Ben McGuinness's way. Yep, held without it. So Ben McGuinness. This crowded area just down the line. He kicks in the direction of Williams in a one-on-one. Taking it was Foon, and he steers it up the line. It's a good mark taken by Egger. Egger goes inboard, powers the ball towards, I think he was looking for Rushton. It didn't get to him. It was cut off by Matt McGuinness. Now at the fall and up for grabs. It's Jay Foon in there. And he climbs on top and forces a forward 50 stoppage for the Northern Bombers.
They're just not generating enough footy, Lauderdale, in this third quarter.
So up it goes again. McCulloch in the ruck. Probably should have been free against. Looked at the opponent before he looked at the ball. Tepper gets it out the back. A swinging ball inside forward 50. McGuinness underneath. He was dealt with. That's got to be a free kick. Donnelly didn't touch the footy. No free kick coming. Franklin tries to get it out of there, but puts it straight into the arms of Simpson.
Well, he gets an opportunity now. His father played a lot of senior footy in the old statewide league days. Marcus Simpson, very good midfielder.
It's going to make it very tricky. So Ben Simpson marching on in. Distance should be a problem. There's a low-flying bullet from Ben Simpson. Pops it through, extends North Launceston's lead. They're in complete control of this game as it stands, Cam Brown.
Yeah, that's why the territory battle is such an important component of a game on conditions like this. And you could just see Franklin then worked hard but was under pressure and kicked it back into a dangerous spot. You don't get the elevation or the penetration on days like this with your kick. And if you're well set up behind the footy, which North Launceston was, and in particular Simpson, who is well placed to take the intercept mark and convert, makes it pretty difficult for mine now for Lauderdale. Just can't see them getting back into this game.
Goals, an absolute premium today, and they're 6-5-41. We said pretty early in the first game it might be the first to 50 wins this one, and they're well on their way, North Launceston. Now in the arms of Ponting. He just kicks for distance. Whitford eyed it off.
Oh, well done.
Gilby has his ball blocked. Coming in was Trupp. Makes it someone else's problem. Just kicks for distance. Probably a free kick for McManus. No free kick coming his way. But they will get the relief they need, Lauderdale. It's going to go the way of Perkins. Jeremiah the Bullfrog Perkins kicks out on the outer side. The wind really took a hold of that one. Held it up. It's just going to be tough going for Lauderdale. When they had the wind at their back in the second quarter, they just didn't make it count enough. So there's Big Hayden Smith. He's back out there, Camp. He gets his kick away. Cut off by Event. The roller skates on there. He almost went to ground. It was gathered by Sutton. A bouncing ball towards Siggins. He needs to get into this game. Tries a little punch, didn't work. Van Buren cut it off. Really good grab taken by Franklin. Good courage. Big Aiden Smith, I don't know whether he was just warming himself up, but he's back out there. Strange to not see him start the quarter. So he pokes and finds Shaw. I suppose it is pretty chilly out there, Cam.
You begrudge players in the long sleeves or the jackets today.
Shaw, long down the line. There is that man Smith. Couldn't bring it to ground. Tepper gathers, kicks towards Foon, who's playing forward. McCulloch, the crummer, the unlikely crummer, has kicked a behind.
Gee, celebrated. Had to post it in the end.
He was happy with it, McCulloch.
I was watching his reaction. He went to celebrate.
He's had a
great front and centre.
He's had a pretty good game considering the conditions. That is a strange kick, but it's worked for Lauderdale off the boot of McGuinness and into the arms of Heavey. Don't know whether he knew it was coming. Matters little for the hosts as he kicks one. Look at that hold up in the wind. Siggins set himself to fly. Came out for Mansell, been pretty quiet. Good kick this one. Down from Foon. McCulloch again with a crumb. This one might work. Doesn't. It's to the other side this time. Another behind. They're extending their advantage though.
Cast in the role of a crumbing forward twice now. Been in perfect position, hasn't he? Big Bart McCulloch, but unfortunately hasn't been able to kick the goal. Excellent positioning.
So 2-2 place 6-7. 14 v 43. It's difficult to mount a case for Lauderdale. If they are going to win it, they're going to need to catch a couple against the breeze as this one comes off the boot of Raglione. Smith the target, brings it to ground. There's McCulloch doing the groundwork. Comes to Smith, he takes on the tackle. He's caught. No holding the ball. A little hurdle work there from Saunders. Burge was clipped behind play. He'll get a free kick.
Well, you had to let that go, surely. I mean, Lauderdale were away.
The advantage was significant.
Why wouldn't you play advantage then? Particularly on a day where Lauderdale are struggling in this quarter to get it in their forward half. They'll rob their North Launceston and get numbers back. They're well set up. Lauderdale going to switch it now.
Sam Burge to Wish Wilson. He goes a little poker. Just short of Siggins, but able to mop up. Siggins steers in the direction of Gilby. That's out on the full.
And that's where the wind has continually drawn it over to our broadcast side all game. But it was a kick from Wish Wilson that really had to hit the target.
So it comes from Haley's boot. Kicks towards Foon. He brings it to ground. The Crummers come into play. This is where North Launceston have been superior to Lauderdale. That ground level. Coming through was Rushton. Just bullocking his way through a couple of bombers.
Yeah, that's where you're spot on, Gilly. Ground level. They've beat them today. Also won it a little bit better on the outside, but certainly from the stoppages in congested situations, they've been well on top for mine today. It's certainly, now there's a free kick. They'd love to have a couple of their prime movers in Bell, Chambers and Walsh who are late omissions, but once again, North Launceston get their hands on the footy first, then comes the high tackle for Lauderdale. This is what we saw in the first half. Now, North Launceston are probably trying to milk a 50-metre penalty here. Now, we haven't seen anyone really kick a goal from this position today, Gilly. Everything's moved late left. So we'll see if Cox Goodyear, he butchered one in the first quarter, didn't he? Right on the quarter-time siren.
Has he learned his lesson? He starts it right. It's swinging back. He loves it.
No.
It just doesn't find its way through the sticks. A minor score. It looked really good.
It did.
For a lot of that.
Pick it. I thought he set it up perfectly.
So 2, Cam. So and even 30 points now. That's a shocker of a kick out from McGuinness. It was cut off by Foon. He's forced it over. And he's not going to be punished.
I mean, essentially, what are we up to? 15-minute mark of the quarter, Gilly. And again, I don't think Lauderdale have had an inside 50 for 10 or 12 minutes. It's so hard, isn't it, to get it out of your back half in these sorts of conditions.
I'm putting it out there. If Lauderdale win this, it'll be a famous victory. Trupp is shoved and will get a free kick. He milked that nicely. Skeleton with hair. He's put it up in a bun. So he'll try and bring him. They keep going to that outer side. It hasn't worked all day. It sits up in the wing. Lee claims it. They've done well just to scurry it forward here, Lauderdale. Burge with just effort, just kicking forward, kicking for touch. Here's the debutant coming across, trying to force the issue. Gathering now is Davies. Good tackle. Coming is Burge. He'll eventually almost gather. Gets it to Shaw. Shaw gets his kick away. Mark almost taken by Heavey. Spills out of his fingers. Saunders eyeing it off. Davies underneath it. I don't think he wanted the footy. He was in a spot of bother and it just came into his path. They climb on top and force a stoppage. So 30 points. Over 15 minutes played this third quarter. Out the back is Burge. Squirts out the handball straight to North Launceston. Simpson kick away. Kicking towards Donnelly. Brings it to ground. It was gathered by Mansell. He was crunched in a tackle. Spills out the side. Wish Wilson gets it out. Bannister feeding, looking for Rushton. Couldn't quite get to him. Raglione just kicks it onto the outer wing. McGuinness. It went straight through his legs.
Free kick. Legged in.
Be a free kick and a relieving one for North Launceston. It's probably as promising as Lauderdale have looked in this quarter. Kick comes away. Strange old ball, but it works okay. Egger, really good crumbing effort. Turns and burns, kicks towards goal. It keeps moving, but it's out for a behind. They've kicked quite a few in this quarter, Cam. 31 points the margin. Could have been uglier. So Matt McGuinness from full back yet again. His last couple of kicks have left a little bit to be desired. Kicks long towards a wing. It was brought down by Ben McGuinness. A wrestle for the footy on hands and knees. Is it going to come out there? Umpire circling. He might have found a free kick. They give each other a bit of niggle. No, the umpire, Joel Harris, those white wheels with the Australian flag on it will be getting a workout today as it's down off the hands of Smith. It's a powering ball. It's found its way through, but it got the decisive touch from Trupp. Another behind. 6-10 plays 2-2.
1 goal 7 this quarter to nothing.
16 scoring shots to 4 paints a pretty bleak picture for Lauderdale. Good kick from Matt McGuinness this time. Couldn't quite find Baker. Zig and zagging was Bradley Cox Goodyear and finishing off with aplomb. Amazing bit of work from an absolute champion of the TSL.
Yeah, well said. It was a beautiful goal, wasn't it? And it just makes it near impossible for mine for Lauderdale now. This one, the margin is just too strong, 38 points.
So we see it again. just shook him off.
His trademark, isn't he? Just
his
so
lateral
powerful in the
movement.
hips. And his ability to get such penetration and distance and power in his kick.
Outstanding work, and North Launceston, well, they're running away with this ball game. Running their way into top position of the TSL. A spot they're well accustomed with as the ball's brought down. Neither ruckman got meaningful contact. Comes out the back to Baker. He finds Adnan, just squeezes a kick out. Ponting brings it to the floor. Shakes off his tackle. Brings it to Egger. Egger inside forward 50. Donnelly the target. Bounces by him. Matt McGuinness mopping up. Goes one way then the other and handballs into Mansell. And out it goes. So North Launceston with yet another inside 50.
Well, it just has not got past the forward half of the ground for Lauderdale in this quarter. Might have had an inside 50 early, but that's about it.
So in comes the ball once more. Wadley feeds it out. Edmonds caught, just gets his hands away. Egger runs into trouble. Umpire says, I'll have it. So the weather has worsened again here. It's been a dirty day for Lauderdale as the ball comes down. Cox Goodyear took it out of the ruck. Trupp claimed him and then the footy. He's gathered by Tepper. He wrestles off his opponent, squeezes out a handball looking for Ponting. Wadley now eyeing it off. He's got Siggins for company. Couldn't quite gather. It comes to Saunders. Been pretty quiet today. Gets to Wiggins, who has been quiet as well. Siggins keeps it alive. It's gathered by Wadley. He feeds it out the back. They just power it forward. Todman, the kicker on that occasion. It's gathered almost by Egger. He was forced off the footy. Ben McGuinness trying hard. Couldn't win the ball. Won by Rushton, and he kicks for distance again. And
Actually,
goes the way of North Launceston.
They've actually totally dominated this quarter. Territory game that's been played in their front half. Lauderdale just can't get any run and carry. Difficult in these sorts of conditions.
Oh, they've bullied them, Camp, in this quarter, let's be frank. It's been a smashing. Could have been uglier. Giving their inaccuracy in front of goal as it's down from the ruck contest. Gilby soccers it out of there. Running to the footy was McManus, claiming a good tackle from Simpson as soon as he gathered. And again, they keep it inside that forward 50 arc. Umpire Guy throws it up. Wish Wilson in the ruck against Edmonds. Edmonds tipped it over the back. Gathering was Tepper. He's had a good afternoon. Comes back in through Todman. Here is Wadley. Fisted away from him by Gilby. They get across to get around him. It must be said, Canberra, this is a long way from Lauderdale's best footy or best team.
No, that's right. That's the rider on this one today for mine. And that's the unknown quantity, isn't it, when you're coming into finals? You need a health and fit list. As they say, health's your best player this time of year.
They've just got injuries at maybe the wrong time of the year. Lauderdale missing some prime movers, that's for sure, as the ball comes in again. Down off the hands of Wish Wilson. Ponting in and under. Tries to get it out, but it's not coming.
So just the 9 goals in this game, 7 of them to the left of screen.
And 7 of them to North Launceston as it's off Wish Wilson's fingers, down for Perkins. He tries to squeeze it out. They keep it in there, North Lonnie. Good tackle applied by Ponting. Jeez, he's been fantastic in and under. Him and Tepper.
Yeah, I thought they've both been really prominent players. Cox Goodyear's got better as the game's gone on. Davies across half back.
Wow, that was an interesting ruck contest. In the end, it was Evans'
there it is again.
feet.
So it's a free kick. Once again, North Launceston from the stoppage. There you go. But they're first to the ball, reading off the hands of the ruckman. As soon as it's at ground level, they've been the team that's there first. And then it's been Lauderdale reacting, and they've just been a bit clumsy at times with their tackling, particularly in the area of the ground where you don't want to concede free kicks. I reckon this is the third or fourth goal. He got one like this early on, didn't he, Ponting, in the first quarter?
He did indeed. Distance a little further out this time. He runs on in, pops it through, absolutely loves it. And North Launceston are going to win this game, and they're going to win it well.
Well, they've been outstanding, really, when it's all been said and done. And in this quarter, they've totally dominated. And a little bit demoralising now from a Lauderdale point of view. This game's gone. And they've just got to hang in there, don't they, for the next 35 or so minutes. There's still plenty to play for them for the rest of this season. We know top spots up for grabs. They've got Glenorchy next week at KG5. They'll need to rebound. And then they have the bye, I think, in the last round. They've moved Matt McGuinness out to wing just to try and get something going.
So Smith out of the middle to the recent goal scorer Ponting. He fed it to his partner in crime, Cox Goodyear, who got the ball out. But
yeah, the non-controlling umpire paid a free for a throw. Now they might get an opportunity for an inside 50. Let's see how they go.
Burge over the top to Baker. He sold him into all sorts, but good enough to get out of it, Baker. Back to Burge. Toward 50 now. Gathered by Saunders. Swings it inside. Deep 50. Gathered by Wiggins. Feeds it out. Siggins' ball blocked as he went to shoot at goal. They've done well again down there. Davies just squirts out a handball. Siggins outside the boot, wrong side of the goal post. A minor score, their first score of the term.
Well, haven't scored much at all. That into the ground, Lauderdale.
So 8-10, 58, 2-3, 15. North Launceston have come and conquered so far today as the ball deep inside forward 50 was gathered by Simpson. Long raking boot from Van Buren. Oh, nice mark, Jeremiah Perkins.
I reckon he's been one of their better players today. The late inclusions, was he not?
He's in the side.
Oh, was he? Beg your pardon.
He's made himself a handy player, though, hasn't he, Perkins? That's a good kick. Finds Ben McGuinness with a really rare look at the sticks. What are we, 25 and change gone in this term. All the scoring outside of one behind the way of the Northern Bombers. In comes Ben McGuinness, an enigmatic player. He steers this one left of the goals, a minor score.
He was brilliant in that final a couple of years ago, wasn't he?
He's the sort of player that if he just sparks on grand final day, he could win them a flag. As
well, he just needs opportunity, and he hasn't been able to get it today. Not the best conditions we know for a forward. I thought his effort's been okay.
Down from Smith again. Coming through was Tepper. He might have got a shove. No. Be thrown in. We've just lost our pitch here.
It's not on quarter Gilly.
Ball in again. Smith down. Out to Burge. Burge almost gathers. And Pond sees it out.
But Lauderdale, at least for the 3 minutes, have been able to have it in their half of the ground.
Gathered by Smith. He feeds out. He's swung back the other way by Tepper. And again, Jeremiah Perkins playing a role in defence. Perkins now. Down the line, it was gathered by Burge. He got his Siggins on the outside of his boot, wide of goal. Bounces out of play. So, members of this third quarter.
A close game at KG5. Gilly just 5 points in that one, and an accurate Tiger 6-15-51. Glenorchy 7-4-46. Short of the time.
They've beaten Glenorchy, the Tigers, so they'll be looking to tick that one off their list. They've
done that a few times this year.
Yeah, you're right. They've conquered a lot of demons this year. It's a good tackle applied by Wish Wilson, not rewarded by the umpire.
Another game, Launceston will win against Clarence. They're 10-5, 65, 40 points up. Deep into the third quarter against the Rouge, 4-1-25.
Not a team I'd want to play in the wet, Launceston.
No.
They're on ball brigade. Be interesting come September as there's a whistle and a siren. So I don't know whether it looks like Lauderdale will have a last-ditch look at things here. Sam Burge, well, just to be frank, would be just adding respectability to the scoreline, because the game is well and truly beyond them at this point. Burge, powering kick out to left. They force a behind. So 2 scoring shots for the term, both behinds.
That's not a point, though, is it?
Just see as we follow the umpires.
Not for mine, unless I don't know the rules.
I don't know whether it was paid. Not entirely sure there.
No, it's not going to be a point, but a great quarter there for North Launceston. Right from the word go, they totally dominated the contest. They've won in the ruck. They've had some... well, it's been a good battle, having said that. The Smiths worked really hard from Lauderdale, but they've certainly around the contest been first to the ball in those contested situations. They've been able to just push the ball forward and keep getting some repeat inside 50 entries until eventually they score, and that's what happened. Lauderdale fought back a little bit, I thought, in the last 5 minutes of that quarter, but all too late for mine. And as we get, 3-quarter time as a... What have you got at Gilly? A 42-point lead, is it?
42-point lead, North Launceston's way. 18 scoring shots to 6. It's been a smashing, to be honest. North Launceston have come to play, and they've played a darn good wet weather footy game.
Well, they had some other opportunities, didn't they? We saw Bart McCulloch casting the role of a rover, who nearly kicked a couple. Just offline on a couple of set shots, so they... I think it was 3 goals, 7 in the end, 10 scoring shots to 4, was it? So, gee, it's going to be really hard for the Bombers. Just 2 goals scored in 3 quarters of footy. But they've just had too many good players, haven't they? We've mentioned a few throughout the call. They've been dominant in the midfield. I think they've been well set up behind the footy. Although Lauderdale haven't had a lot of inside 50 entries, they've still been pretty solid in that back half. It's an underrated part of North Launceston's game, has been for 4 or 5 years. When you're trying to pick a weakness, sometimes you just go to their back half, but they can completely stand up each and every week. And they're running into some really nice form, aren't they, now? Coming into the finals. Some interesting matches, with Glenorchy. If they were to drop their game today, Launceston potentially would leapfrog them on the ladder. So there's still a bit to play out with 2 or 3 rounds of TSL footy to go.
There is indeed, and they loom large, the Northern Bombers, and they loom large in this contest. A 42-point lead as we turn for home in the last quarter. We'll have a break now from commentary. Be back with the final term.
get Lincoln Arnold to kick.
So back with the final quarter here. And it's a quarter you'd think it's just going to be about Lauderdale trying to add a bit of respectability to the scoreboard, Cam Brown, because 42 points as it stands. It's a mountain too high for Lauderdale to climb, I suspect.
Oh, this is a match-winning lead, no doubt about that. But Lauderdale just got to win a bit of respect back on their home ground. I think if they could cut the lead to 20 points by the end of the match, they might just rue some free kicks that they've given away, but that's probably taking too much away from North Launceston because they've been dominant in and around the contest as we've got last quarter coming up.
Smith now. Oh, collided. He was blocked out. He's been pinged for a block. It was a strange old one. Now I think he's the only one actually going for the ball.
Oh.
He throws a shocker too, but he won't be punished for it. Seriously, put a fair bit of pepper on that throw.
I've seen them paid.
McCulloch, a little poker. Tepper, the slips catch. Takes it well.
Underrated player, Tepper, isn't he?
Been really good. Swings the left footer in. It's a helicopter kick. Wadley at the fall finds Davies.
Jeez,
nice kick, Davies. Oh, just touched.
Been goal of the day for mine, Damien Gill. Beautiful. Davies set himself up on that left side and got some real good penetration and purchase on the kick.
Just about deserved it too. He's had a really good game off half back.
Good player.
So Wiggins now in the defensive half. Long and strong in the direction of the ruckman. Smith brings it down to the ground. Paddled by Cox Goodyear into the path of Young. He gets it inside forward 50. Soccering was Anderton. Foot race now. Goes the way of the Northern Bombers. They look to feed out a handball for Wadley. Coming through was Davies. He's ran out of tarmac or kicked that one out in the full.
You haven't seen a lot of footy over that area of the ground today.
What's been helpful, Cam Brown, given our commentary setup. Would have been difficult. It's been difficult anyway to call with the conditions as they are. It's thrown on in. McCulloch now eyes it off, and he might be eyeing off a goal. Doesn't quite get to him. Rushton gathers off the deck. Looks to pick it up again as it slipped through his fingers on the first opportunity. He does, and is claimed in that Baker tackle. Have you seen Nick Baker's game?
Thought he was okay early, but I think North Launceston midfield have been well on top, and he's spent some time in the midfield today. He's probably missed some assistance in there, in fairness to him. Bell Chambers and Walsh, gee, they would have been handy today, those two. But I still think North Launceston, the way they've gone about it today, would have fancied their chances.
Yeah, you'd think so. Difficult one to read. It's going to be a free kick out in the full, I think. So North Launceston go forward. Sitting underneath it was Burge. He tried to gather. He couldn't on the second bite. Tepper now kicking deep towards Edmonds. He ran at the footy. Trump trailed him and ended up with the ball. It's seen over.
He finds the footy, doesn't he, Tepper? Just gets in a good position to receive it. And we thought his possessions would be pretty high today.
The ball to be thrown in. Deep forward 50. Shallow throw. Smith brings it down. Eyeing it off was that man Tepper coming through, swinging a kick almost for Edmonds. They should, I reckon they slipped through Wadley's fingers as he looked to kick from about a metre out. So a behind the way of North Lonnie. Long it goes, off hands, down from Simpson, there for Davies. He's caught in a Franklin tackle. Umpire says, I'll have it. So almost 4 minutes gone this last quarter. North Lonnie dominant display today.
Yeah, they'd be wrapped with this today. They would have had a fair bit of confidence going into the game, but
nice ruck work. A nice crumb from Whitford, fished away by Trupp. Here's Edmonds. Really nice stuff to get separation, and the shot. Not quite.
Shown enough for mine though, Edmonds. You mentioned was a really good performer last week, but just has a different look about him up forward. Looks like he's got nice balance and some good forward craft. Unlucky there on that occasion to not kick the goal.
Wiggins in the direction of McManus. Couldn't take the footy. Been pretty quiet, McManus. Fed out by Franklin. This is better, but just caught as he went to get going there, McManus. Sutton caught in a really good Rushton tackle. Yet another stoppage. So 5 minutes gone. Ruck contest down for Ponting. He feeds out looking for Cox Goodyear. Finds the boundary.
Yep.
Well, one thing, Cam, our commentary setup today is we've stayed dry, which is welcome for us, as it's off hands and down for Heavey. He forces the ball out, but it's straight to Davies on the outside of his boot. He sends a spiralling ball deep inside forward 50 and then chops it off. Tries to get it outside the arc. Shaw off the deck. Well gathered by McCulloch below his knees. Simpson out now for the coach, Whitford. Whitford steers a ball towards the pocket. Really nice kick. I think it's Wadley.
Hasn't won a lot of the ball, Whitford, but he showed all his class and skill there.
It is that man, Wadley.
Difficult spot to kick from. Looks like he's going to go the conventional drop punt, though.
Tight angle. Drop punt on its way. And it straight through the sticks. A goal for Wadley. Another on the board for North Lonnie. Their 9th of the day. They've had 8 individual goal kickers.
Well, goals have been a premium on the right of screen. We haven't had many there scored all day. But it was a smart ball use, wasn't it, from the coach to lower his eyes. And an underrated kick, as we mentioned. Difficult spot sometimes to kick goals from there. They made no mistake, Wadley.
So, back in the middle again. The margin blown out to an even 50 points. Pretty ugly viewing for Lauderdale fans. The ball is steered forward. Perkins first in the foot race. Tepper wins it back. Kicking in the direction of Egger. He beats Sutton to it, but Sutton does well from behind. Takes the ball. Long powering kick towards Gilby. Foon fists over.
Hasn't been able to get into the game today, Jacob Gilby. Not on his own there, though. A lot of his Lauderdale teammates today.
Scores level over at KG5.
They are 5 minutes in.
And inaccuracy might bite the Tigers there. 6-16, 8-4. Beauty of a game, not so much here, but play goes on. Coming through is the debutant. He couldn't quite get a kick away. Good handball out from Smith. Perkins eyeing off, as is Siggins, first in the foot race. Just kicks for touch. Will be thrown in. Almost 8 minutes gone. And around the grounds too, Lonnie in complete control over Clarence, as you'd suspect. At the back, Raglione off the deck. And behind. He's had a really quiet game, Raglione.
He has.
It's not on his own, as we said just a moment ago. Quite a few Lauderdale players. Not their best day as Foon kicks out from full back. Egger, really good body work.
Yeah, you're right. He uses his body very, very well, Egger, for a lightly framed player.
Here he is as Ben McGuinness jumps on top of him.
Just wonder, Gilly, what North Launceston players they have to come back into this team.
The likes of a Jackson Callow, probably.
Well, he was the one.
Finals.
Gee, he'd be the icing on the cake on the front half for them. It's a terrific year for the Devils.
We've seen Elmer at stages, whether he's in their best team is
He has kicked goals on occasions for them. Anderton, another player's been pretty quiet today.
Kicks in the direction of Ben McGuinness. He brings it to ground. Well picked up by Perkins. I've liked his game. It slipped through his fingers, though. Tepper comes out, finds Mansell. The races. Mansell kicks out onto the wing. Rushton first to it. He might just take the space ahead of him. He does. But well worked into it was Wiggins. Wins the ball. Long and strong and straight into the waiting arms of Brad Cox-Goodyear.
Pretty solid again today.
So long comes the footy. Seeing himself was Egger. Does well at the full. It'll spill out. Rushton tried to soccer it. Again, a rolling scrum unfolds. It'll be yet another stoppage.
From a Lauderdale perspective, Gilly, who have you liked? I thought Smith's tried pretty hard in the ruck. Perkins, another player that has been good for them today.
Matty McGuinness has tried hard.
Yep.
Ben McGuinness has probably tried hard, just not a day for their forwards.
No.
The delivery's been pretty poor. It just hasn't got down there enough as it's fed out by Cox-Goodyear. Mansell long towards the 50. Bannister been pretty quiet.
Oh, that's a good
He's
tackle.
caught. Tremendous tackle
Oh, man.
by McManus. He arches the back. Looks to move. Hands over the top to Franklin. Slips through his fingers. He might be able to mop up. He does and finds the big man Smith. There's a whistle. It's going to come back to Wiggins. Not too many, to be truthful, Camp. Oh, Sutton has a bit of a shocker. Handballs it straight to Egger, and now McManus needs to bail him out. Good tackle applied. Forces a stoppage. Didn't like his time again there, Reece Sutton. And not too many players out there in red and black that have excelled. Shaw's tried hard as it's one in the ruck by Smith. He squirts out the handball. Tepper just kicks for touch, looking for the coach there. Whitford. Burge picks it up. Slick handball through to Wiggins, who couldn't get it away. Comes out the way of North Launceston. Tepper eyeing this one off. Shields the ball, wins it towards Bannister. Coming in is Ponting. Won by Shaw. He's done pretty well there. McManus out onto the outer wing. And Franklin tips it over. I don't think they've got enough from the likes of Franklin and Baker, personally.
No, and they needed big games from them coming in. We said that, didn't we, before the opening bounce, with Bell Chambers and Walsh out of that team.
Another one off the text, Camp, from our friend Dave Moore in the north, has said Curran is probably also in North Lonnie's best team. Not out there today, playing Sardis as the ball finds its way to Perkins. He's probably been the shining light on a pretty bleak day. Kicks towards 50, absolute commentary mockers there.
Well, that's what they've done all day, North Launceston, in that back half. In the second quarter in particular, when Lauderdale were pushing hard.
So Foon just had all
That's
the
just
time in the
clever,
world.
Really smart ball use. Only a much improved player.
Forward and back, he's put on a bit of size too. It's a bit more solid as he kicks towards a pack on the wing. Williams gathers it. You know, he's a player probably wouldn't wanted to make more of his opportunity today. The likes of Williams and Lampsis coming to the side with a big job to do with leaders in Bell Chambers and Walsh out.
Well, Alex Hill, in the right conditions, he'd definitely be in Lauderdale's best 22 for mine. But I think they made the decision with the conditions to pull one of the tools out. And he ended up being sacrificed.
Goodyear takes some territory.
Now, there's a free kick against Cox-Goodyear there, off the ball. It's going to go to Oscar Shaw.
Not happy about it either as Shaw takes the footy away. Kicks long. Ben McGuinness presents well.
That's a good kick from Oscar Shaw. Well done. Oh, that was always going to be cut off.
Smothered. I don't know whether he's over the mark there, Whitford. play on regardless as Williams goes long. Gilby arrives, claims him in a tackle. Keep it locked in there. He snuck up on him, Whitford, to smother the ball. I don't know whether he encroached. It's the light fading here. Lauderdale. It's a high contact, so it's going to be a Mansell ball.
Yeah, as we mentioned, 2 rounds of TSL footy left. Lauderdale next week. North Launceston will host North Hobart. And in the final round, Lauderdale will have the bye and North Launceston on the road to Glenorchy.
Free kick against Wiggins on Wadley. Shoved him. And Wadley, a little poker over the top, finds Cox Goodyear.
He's powerful, isn't he? He's so strong. I mean, in the right conditions today, he could have quite easily played forward, and we've seen what he can do there when he can have the forward 50 to himself.
Oh, a bit of hang time there for Edmonds. Almost brought it down, not quite. The ball scurried forward. Wadley kept on running. Couldn't quite gather. Baker was onto him. And Raglione steers it out of 50. Not quite for Cox Goodyear. There's the youngster with a handball, Lincoln. Gets it out. Smith caught, just gets his ball away. Ponting again. They're ruthless, North Launceston. They want more. Bursting through. Really nice stuff from Egger and finds, I think it's Mansell. It is.
It is. Probably a little bit too far out, Ryan, I reckon. But, gee, haven't seen that too often today. Here we go. She's gone in short. Good vision. And, gee, you can't afford to leave this man on screen anywhere inside the forward 50. Left alone, unattended. But great line breaking. Well, just a burst of speed, wasn't it, from Egger? And lowered his eyes and found Mansell. Mansell, smart play from him. Knew he was too far out. Was just patient. This man won't be too far out.
So Cox Goodyear off that powering left. He gives it a lot of air. It goes out to the left and doesn't quite get the journey. Edmonds gathers. He's crunched in a tackle.
We got a little bit too close to the man on the mark on that occasion, Cox Goodyear. Just lost a little bit of yardage.
So up it goes again. Down off Smith's hands, straight out of there. A North Launceston shot. And some behind.
Well, they've won the territory game in this quarter as well, really.
I don't know whether the breeze has died down or they've just been that good.
Just the one goal since quarter time for the hosts.
And even 50 points as it stands. That ball went a long way, so it tells you the wind's probably still a factor as Saunders gets a kick away. Van Buren sitting back in the hole. The bounce has been a shocker for him, but he's able to mop up. And a good kick to event. Good player, Van Buren. Doesn't get a heap of it, but just when he does, he shows good poise as the kick is out of defence and cut off by Alex Lee.
Glenorchy look like they're going to run away with it at KG5. 17-minute mark there, and they lead by 18 points, 11-5-71 to an accurate Tigers 6-17-53.
Well, that's a big win for Glenorchy in terms of their top 3 ambitions.
Correct.
Pack forms again.
And Clarence well behind against Launceston. Last score we had there was nearly 50 points in front. The visitors.
Lee caught one in the eye there, I think, as the ball comes down again. 50-point margin here. We didn't expect that at the outset, but we did not expect the late outs of Bryce Walshaw, Phil Bell-Chambers, which I've got to say did shift the dial a little bit in terms of your expectations for the game as Tepper gets his kick away, sing underneath it. It was Sutton. He brought it to the floor. A jump on top of Saunders.
Been a good four-quarter player from Iron Tepper.
Their on-ball brigade's done a tremendous job. Just embrace the grind as it comes on through.
Yeah.
Almost for Bannister. Gathered by Saunders. Williams gets his kick away. Forced at ground level by Lampsis. There's a whistle. It's going to go against Mansell, so it'll be a short kick. He's probably one of the better players for Lauderdale.
I agree.
He's
tried hard.
So Shaw inside forward 50 now. But so often has been the case today, Lauderdale forwards caught behind their man.
Yep.
And forced to make a late run at a footy that's just looked destined for the arms of a North Launceston defender. They've just read it so much better off the boot.
Just done the basics better for longer.
Creative kick there by McManus from behind. McGuinness brought it to ground. Van Buren scurries it clear. Good tackle. Applied out there by Saunders. So almost 20 minutes gone here. A 50-point margin to the visiting Northern Bombers. They've been dominant from start to finish, really, as the ball comes out the side of Franklin. He farms over the top, but Ponting is standing in the way. Wins the ball, gets it outside the arc. Anderton wrestling for the ball with Event. Wadley gathers. He tried hard all day. Wadley gets it to Ponting. Ponting to Simpson. Simpson almost for Tepper. Couldn't quite gather. Event now. Playing a good tackle by Shaw.
That's some good players, haven't they? North Launceston. As you'd expect when you're playing a team on top of the ladder and you're going to walk away with a 50-plus point win.
Ball to be thrown in. Centre wing broadcast side. We're beyond 20 minutes. McCulloch down for his runners. Wish Wilson coming across, as is Williams, and the latter sees it over.
Is he from the footy factory, Josh Williams? He calls Christie.
Good question. I'm not 100% sure. He's Corpus Christi or a Killip boy. A lot of them are, as the ball comes in. Gathered by Smith. Interesting handball, but it found its way to Heavey. Heavey gets it out to Siggins over the top for Jeremiah the Bullfrog Perkins. Throws it on the boot towards goal. Van Buren standing in the way. Tips it out of play.
Difficult conditions today, no doubt about that. But having said that, North Launceston ball use by foot has been so much better than Lauderdale. It was a smart handball on that occasion from Siggins just to give Perkins a bit of time and space, which has been a rarity for them today. But an errant kick on that occasion.
Thrown on in. McCulloch and Smith. Smith out of the air. It's almost Faffoon did really well with the follow-up. Kicked it long out of defence, but Shaw gathered. Will send it straight back in for Lauderdale. Heavey the flyer over his head and into the arms of Event. And they've done it all day. These North Launceston halfbacks, Foon, Van Buren, Davies and Event. Been superb as Van Buren hits his target.
Been pretty good too,
now, keen to show some toe. Zig and zagging. Touched it on the ground. He probably ran too far.
Did he? Okay. I like the intent to take the game on.
Just a little too far, I think, as umpire's going to make that one come back.
Did I say it again, Gilly? Won't be a long quarter.
No. Sutton pops over the top for Heavey.
He's worked his way into the game, Heavey.
Sutton long and high, and it'll be picked off, you sense. No, it wasn't. Slipped through the fingers of Haley. Coming on through was Perkins. Got it out to Anthony's caught high. He'll get a free kick and a look at the sticks. As we see this one again. Only had eyes for the ball.
He's got full confidence in his body, Mitch Anderton. Gilly, you've seen a fair bit of him.
Yeah, no.
I don't know whether he's quite...
I go back to
that lateral movement that he had.
Last grand final, or even the grand final before.
Grand final before, he was real good, wasn't he?
Where he was, what was he, 16 then? I reckon he was playing better and more confident, brave footy than he is at the moment. I think you're right, Cameron. I reckon he's just second-guessing himself a touch because his body's let him down a bit, but he can go forward and present well. That helps.
He's
He
always
does.
done that really well, and at his best, playing in that back half, his ability to just find time and space and then hit up that dart kick, that was a key feature in his first half of the season for Devils last year. He was really flying and then just had the back half of his season crawled by injury. He's always been a neat kick.
That was a neat kick.
That's the first goal for a long time for Lauderdale since, I reckon, Oscar Shaw's 50-metre penalty, Gilly.
Yeah, first goal of this half for Lauderdale. Their third for the day. So he joins Nick Baker and Oscar Shaw, the youngsters.
All of them.
On the board as it's down from Smith. He tips it out. McManus for Saunders over the back handball. Finds Burge. They haven't got enough out of him today, I reckon.
Agree.
Low-flying bullet. It's cut off. Coming through was Ben McGuinness. He's tried hard, but it just hasn't been on his terms.
No, it hasn't suited him, the conditions.
So 44 points as it stands. Could have been uglier. Down from Smith. It's straight to his on-baller in McManus, who's caught in a tackle, and we will repeat proceedings as it's Smith again. Wins it, gets it out. Siggins. I don't think these conditions are made for Sam Siggins.
No, he does certainly prefer with his athleticism a dry track.
Coming through was Baker. Bouncing ball, fisted away by Foon. Forces it towards the boundary. Coming through on a burst. I think it was Wadley. It was. He had the roller skates on and ran out of play.
I think both teams looks like they've got through this game unscathed from an injury perspective, Gilly. But we know how important that is at this time of the season. You want a fit list coming into September, and these two teams will be playing in that. We know that.
So, ball gathered by Siggins. He's dumped in a tackle, and the tackler will be rewarded. It's going to be Bannister. Signals that he's going to kick long, and he does exactly that. The pack forms, it's tipped down, and the siren sounds on a massive win for North Launceston. 44-point victors on the road at SkyBus Oval. A game they controlled from the back end of the first term all the way through to the final siren. And a game that gives them a really good chance at finishing this season in top spot.
Yeah, well, that was the narrative coming into the game. That was what was at stake. And right from the word go, North Launceston have been outstanding for mine today. And they won the territory game. They just worked harder for longer. They got lower than their opponents. They were prepared to get their hands dirty. Thought their ball use was underrated in conditions. They often lowered their eyes to find a short target. And they probably could have won by a bit more, potentially a little bit wasteful in front of goal. But to kick 9 goals, we thought that was probably going to be the order of the day coming in. And Lauderdale, unfortunately, they weren't at their best today. We know they had some injuries coming into the game, some late withdrawals, which certainly didn't help them. But I think they'd be disappointed the way they went about it today. And to lose by this margin on their home ground will be disappointing. They're in a bit of a slump, aren't they? Because they've lost to Clarence last week, so they need to rebound pretty smartly. But the champs look like they're primed for a really big September for mine. North Launceston, first time I've seen them for a few weeks, Gilly, and they were outstanding today.
They were. As I said, the back end of that first quarter, they made their move, and from then, they never really looked like being headed. Ignore the graphic there. It's actually final result rather than third quarter, and it's a big result, as we said, because not only is it 4 points in the bank, but it's 4 points that will see them likely finish the season on top, provided they can get the business done next week against North Hobart.
Yeah, you think they would, and look, they had some really strong performances today. I thought the bonus for them is Whitford, who we know is a dominant player, probably didn't have his best game, but still had his moments. McCulloch, it's not his conditions really. But, gee, they had some good contributors. I thought Tepper was as good as anyone, really. I thought he was a really good four-quarter player today. Donnelly played a role for them at different stages through the game. Mansell worked his way into it. Cox Goodyear, the more the game went on, the larger he loomed and was kicked a great goal at one point, didn't he? Ponting maybe went out of it in the last quarter a little bit, but gee, still was a terrific player for them. And a lot of their guys just down back, Event, Foon, they're well set up behind the footy. Young, you can't deny them. And I thought Liam Davies across half back was excellent. And I think Edmonds is a real player of the future too. Really like the way he goes about it too. Gilly could be a surprise packet in the forward line from a Lauderdale perspective. Too far and few between for mine. They just didn't get enough out of the midfield for mine. And we mentioned players like Siggins. It probably didn't suit him. Wiggins had a really quiet day. I thought Smith tried pretty hard in the ruck. Baker had his moments early in the game. I thought Oscar Shaw tried pretty hard. Matty McGuinness particularly early. Ben McGuinness's effort was certainly there, and I thought Jeremiah Perkins was a really solid contributor. So well done to North Launceston. They came today with a job to do, and the prize was top of the ladder and potentially a home final, and that's what they've got. They look like, for mine, they've sewed up top spot on the ladder.
It certainly looks like it. Really well summarised, Cam Brown. We hope you've enjoyed today's coverage from down at SkyBus Oval. A wild and wet day in the State South and a big win for North Launceston. We'll be back with more Booper TSL action on the live stream next week. For now, it's a big win for the Northern Bombers. 9-13-67, defeating Lauderdale 3-5-23.